Hey there, it's Jim Toscano, and welcome to the Monday night live stream, episode 102 of Filling in the Grooves, which is named after my book. You can see in the corner of the screen my book, Filling in the Grooves, which, shameless plug, might as well do it. I always forget. So, it's on Hudson in digital, and it's still in print with Alfred and, of course, Wisdom Media with Dom Famularo. And you can definitely get that in a lot of places. You get it on Amazon. And speaking of our buddy Dom Famularo, we all know he's having a challenge, but we're behind you 100%. He might be in the chat tonight, maybe. And we're sending love and hugs out to Dom. And tonight, I just wanted to, just a couple little housekeeping points. So one, I just want to thank my companies, Prologix, Percussion, Offset Pedals, Sabian Cymbals, Black Magic Designs, Vader Drumsticks, and thank you for all the support. We've been doing a lot of giveaways lately, which has been super fun. I have a giveaway running right now with Vader for Derek Roddy's signature sticks, because Derek Roddy's coming up in the next couple of weeks. So, and speaking of who's coming up, next week I have Omar Hakim on the show. The week after I have Derek Roddy. And then I just booked for August Simon Phillips. So there's some great guests coming up. It's been really a trip having everybody on the show. And if you missed last week, I had Dave Weckel, Dave Garibaldi, and Stanton Moore all on the show together, and we did some amazing giveaways. But that's archived up on YouTube, so you can check that out. And then on this past Thursday, I had Klaus Hessler, my good buddy, on, and we were talking about his book, Taladiddle, which is this incredible mix of conical counting, singing, and rudimental drumming. Crazy, crazy topic, but a really amazing. So pick up the book, Taladiddle, really awesome. And one other thing, I want to plug Scott Kettner's new Pandero book, which came out on the 1st. So Scott Kettner's going to be on the show in July. And yeah, man, so that's all the things going on, I think. That was a lot of stuff. I apologize. I run in my mouth too much. I got two other things, and then I'm going to jump into it, because I never plug my gigs. So Friday night, we're playing at the Metropolitan with Roger Street Friedman, and Saturday night we'll be in Sandusfield, Massachusetts, playing at the Sandusfield Art Center. So Roger Street Friedman, we have a new record coming out, and of course we're still, since COVID, we never got to promote the album Rise that came out in basically in 2020. We never got to do the CD release or any of the shows, so we're promoting the record Rise as well. All right. So my guest tonight is living the dream. He's doing what we all wish we were doing, man. He's got such a great gig, and he's from New York. He's a Nashville transplant, but man, like, he's killing it. And I'm not going to tell you much more, because we're definitely going to get into it. But my guest tonight is Jake Sommers, or as some call him, Jake Sommers. And he's going to be with us tonight talking and chatting about the gig with Luke Combs and his whole story. I want to go back to the very beginning. And yeah, he's my guest tonight. Here we go, Jake Sommers. All right, man. How you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
How was the intro? Was that okay?
That was amazing. You kidding me?
I forgot to play the music. All right, that's the dating game. We're not going to play that.
I love it. That's awesome.
Man, thanks to you for taking your time and being so generous with your time to do this hang tonight.
Of course. I love doing this stuff. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So just real quick. So you're coming to us from your home, right?
Yeah.
And this is
Nashville.
Is this your home studio in your house?
Yes, it's in my house. It's coincidentally right above my garage. So I've had to do a lot of treatment to it because of the type of house I'm in. So.
Okay. So now, are you sandwiched between a couple other houses, or is there a lot of space?
So I'm in a tall and skinny, or a shotgun house, and both of my neighbors, I should say, are about 3 feet apart from me on each side.
Wow.
So one of them, I mainly did this whole room for myself, but also for one of my neighbors, because I know he was able to hear it. The other has not said a word, but I'm still very pleased with how the room came out. So thank you to the company Audimute for doing my room, and Mitch for helping me put everything up.
So is this a room within a room kind of scenario?
So it's actually not. What we did was I had like a few different designs that I wanted to do, and I kind of picked and choose a few, and then when Mitch came and stayed with me, we were like, hey, let's try this here, like a little 3D type wall that I don't know if you could see behind me on this side. So I'm not going to do it now, but if I shut the lights off and the wall right over here to my right, I have LED lights going throughout.
Oh, cool.
I don't use it that often because it's kind of wouldn't make sense to practice with, but it makes a cool vibe. But so like for like the windows, like the window behind me, we put like this cool, I don't remember what he called it, but this cool design on all the windows, and then we treated the ceiling, making it kind of look like marble, and then the walls like wood, and then the other wall that is next to the window over here is, I believe he's now calling it Strata XL, which is now one of a kind and first ever in my room.
Oh, wow. Okay. So those are sort of like plugs for the window that sort of, or
yes,
they fit into the window opening? Or over?
Yeah, we measure them. It goes over the window.
Right.
And then on the inside of the window to my left, I had Peacemaker in it, and then we put something else instead that was actually denser and thicker to make sure the sound doesn't travel as much out of there.
Oh, cool.
And the room looks amazing. I mean, it is probably, I'd like to think, the cleanest home studio in Nashville.
that could really be very true.
You shut the door and you clap your hands, and
nice.
There's no echo or hardly any echo.
Right.
So, and recording drums in this room is amazing.
And the ceilings look kind of like pitched.
They are vaulted. Yes. They're two sides of them are vaulted, and then the middle is flat. And we did a cool custom design on the middle of the ceiling.
Nice. Yeah. So that's nice having the vaulted ceilings. You're able to get some real depth in the room. That's great. Yeah, this room is a room within a room kind of scenario. Like a cinder block building with like a room within a room, kind of two sets of wall units all the way around, wrapped. 3 doors to get in. So you open the outside door, you slide the middle door, and then you open the inside door. So this room is really clean as well, but I have low ceilings. That's the only drawback. I wish I had the higher ceilings, but I make it work in here, and you have to get creative.
Really hear you.
No.
That's amazing.
In fact, when we bought the house, my next door neighbor came out, and I turned the garage into a studio. So I put a kit in here, and I said, listen, I'm going to play some drums. You're going to listen, and you're going to tell me how loud you think it is. And I told him I was going to treat the room, and he had like a dB reader from outside, a decibel reader. And so I played, and the decibel reader was like hitting, I don't know, like 80. I mean, going through the cinder block outside. And he was like, yeah, I could definitely hear it. He goes, it's really loud, because the back door was just like a wooden door. And then after we did it, the reader didn't pick up anything, and he didn't hear drums. And I went next door, I knocked on his door. I said, hey, Ed, did you hear any drums? He goes, what drums? I was like, yes, I did it. So, Yeah,
that's kind of what we did recently when Mitch came, and he did a few other rooms, and he helped me with mine, just like a few little things. And my neighbor was gracious enough to not come in my room, but at his house, walk around, and we called him while I was playing, and he was like, do you hear anything? He goes, no, not really, because all he heard was really the lows.
Yeah.
And once I put one of Audiomute's sheets over the kick drum like they do in studios, he couldn't hear anything. So
nice.
It's wonderful. I changed the beater on the kick drum pedal as well. I think that was also partially because of that.
Yeah. What kind of beater did you go to?
I went to the Zorro square beater.
Oh, cool.
I was using a Danmar beater that You know how they come circular as a full circle?
Yeah.
My good buddy Robin Diaz, he gets them and he gets them cut. So he gave me one of his because I really liked how it felt. And I guess it's a little too loud for this scenario. So
Yeah. Cool, man. I mean, it's amazing. Everything really makes a difference. You know, it's down to, you know, beater choice, head choice, whatever treatment you're doing on your heads, the way the room is treated, you know, from
everything, yeah.
yeah.
Top to bottom.
Yeah, every little thing really counts. So I just changed over to thinner heads, and it's just recording so beautifully, and you know, so every change, you know, you can tweak it, and it's something we kind of always looking at. You know, I feel like you're never like 100% satisfied, always kind of tweaking things and checking it out. So.
Oh yeah, especially for drummers, there's always something that you want to either move on your kit or like just as you're saying, tweak a little bit here and there. Doesn't matter what it may be. Or of course, there's always things you want to buy.
Oh yeah,
so.
yeah. That is true.
Can never have enough drums or cymbals.
True. So yeah, 7 ride cymbals against the wall right now. So yeah, man. So let's before we like go back and go through the whole story. You know, 2015-ish, right? The gig really
Roughly
started to happen.
So 2015, end of 2014.
Right. So 7 years, you know, 7-8 years in, are you still like pinching yourself going like, man, this gig?
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness, especially. Oh yeah. I mean, just from I did a live Instagram live earlier with our bass player, with a buddy of ours, and one of the questions he asked was, you know, what are your few favorite things that you've done so far from the gig? And I was like, I have like, you know, at least 5 or 6. And you know, the first one that came to mind was, you know, me also being from New York. Our first TV spot was in 2017, and we did the Today Show. My parents got to come to that, and they sat on the couch behind the cameras watching us shoot that live, which was really an amazing experience, you know.
That's cool.
Because I remember growing up watching that sometimes, and then them coming to see us play the Ryman as a part of our tour in 2018, and then they didn't get to go to it, but they were able to watch when we did SNL right before COVID hit in 2020. And then last year we did 2 back-to-back nights headlining at Madison Square Garden. So that was truly like, for me, one of the epitomes of, you know, you really made it. And then I think in 2019, we got to play and headline Red Rocks on Mother's Day. So they came to that. It was really special. So the next big thing I would love for them to be at is eventually come to a stadium show we will do at some point. So
wow,
but
that's
also
amazing.
Headlining a stadium is another just incredible thing that you know, I definitely pinch myself. Like I was just in Seattle on Saturday, and we played where the Seahawks play, and I was like, wow, this is truly a you've arrived moment.
Yeah, that's killer. I mean, and also being a New Yorker, just back to what you said before about playing the Garden the first time. I mean, that's got to be, you know, sort of an interesting moment, right? To just be like, oh man,
Yeah,
thought
it
about
was
this
neat.
as a kid.
I guess technically that wasn't the first time. So we were out with Jason Aldean in 2018 with Fredman. I should have said that, but on as direct support, and we opened for him there, and my parents got to come to that. But I mean, like, it's so different going from direct support to headlining and then doing 2 nights at that venue.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny, it flew by so fast. I was like, it's over, man. Can we do a third night? But it was so much fun, and it was a real an experience I'll never forget. And I kept the drumsticks, and you know, I put the date and all that stuff on them. So same with the SNL sticks. So
sweet. Yeah. So and you know, knowing these guys out on the road like Rich, you know, he's such a good guy. How was that experience like the first time you were doing support for Jason Aldean's band?
It was a lot of fun to just watch them. I'm pretty sure I watched them every single night they played, either from side stage or I'd bounce to like out front to hear what it sounded like. And I remember the few times, because I play open-handed.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that too.
But I remember one of the times I was watching Rich from side stage and he saw me and he started to play open-handed during the show. And I was like, you would do that just to like get a rise out of me, jokingly, obviously. But no, it was a great time touring with them and really getting to know him and all that stuff. So
he's a great showman too. I mean,
I've learned a lot from him in that regard.
Right?
So.
I mean, he just puts it all out there. Like, he's so fun to watch. And he really, what I like when I've spoken to him about it, he's really trying to reach that one guy all the way in the back, up on, in the last row of the stadium, with that in mind. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Let it visually happen so that guy knows that I'm connecting with him. That's like.
Yep. And that's exactly what I just talked about also earlier on that Instagram live, of the importance of, there's the people in the pit that are close to the stage, but there's still all the people all the way in the back and the upper deck that you need to reach as well. So bigger movements are so important in these larger venues.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
they pay to see you too.
That's right. You got diehard fans in the front, but you also have diehard fans all the way in the back that, bought the cheap seats, as if there's a thing anymore, where they're really, they're there every time, so yeah, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I think that's great, what you're saying about watching from the side of the stage and really, engaging with that, because it's always a learning thing, even you're hitting these great milestones in your career, but yet there's always something to learn, right?
Oh, totally. And just growing as a player, always wanting to break down walls, no matter what it is. I think you should never get to a point where you're stagnant and you're like, I've done my 10,000 plus hours. I could stop practicing. Like, I always want to learn. I still take lessons too. And, the things that I might practice at home might not be applicable for the gig, but it's good to have in my bag of tricks.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, it's really amazing. Everybody I've spoken to, lately, wherever they're at in their careers, everybody's practicing. And it's like, I was talking to Gary Husband, and he's living in a place where he can't really have a full drum kit. So he's on a practice pad kit in the garage, on the practice pad kit. And it's like putting in the time, like serious time, when he's not on the road. It's like, it's just so great to see, everybody putting in the time, no matter where they're at in their career. Because we're drummers and this is what we do. You can't escape it.
And what I love about what I realize when it comes to drummers, at least from my perspective, is when a drummer learns a new fill or a lick, they're like, hey, I want to show you this cool thing I just did. Whereas guitar players, I feel like, are like, they're keeping it to themselves.
100%. I say this every podcast. I'm like, drummers, we come together, we share ideas, we want to hang. It's never like a real competition thing. It's always if it is, it's a friendly competition thing. And guitar players will rather turn their back when they play a lick, so another guitar player's not going to take it,
Yeah.
And we're like, man, check this out. Look what it's so great, man. So you and I are both from New York. So let's go back to the beginning. Oh, you know what we should do real quick? I usually do it later, but I'm going to just pop into the chat real fast and just say hello to a couple of people, just to get a couple names, get the little chat seasoned up a little bit. So guys, if you're watching this, jump into the chat, join the conversation. I've had so many people message me recently that are like, yeah, I was watching that live stream. I'm like, I didn't see you in the chat. You got to jump into the chat. Lucia Seminara hanging with us. Hey, Lou. Lucia is one of my young students. She's auditioning for the Lincoln Center Jazz High School program soon. So I'm really proud of her. Awesome. Nico, the filmmaker, hanging with us. Nico, my man, how are you? Ray Levere hanging with us. What's up, Ray?
All right, yeah.
Ray's a good guy. You know Ray. He's also friendly with Rich Redmond.
Yep.
Dave Clive from Dave Clive's Gretsch Museum in Brooklyn hanging with us. Dave Clive, how you doing, buddy? Joey Pinto from Staten Island hanging with us. Joey. Dave Stark hanging with us right off of hanging at NAMM. So, Dave, we'll have to catch up. I missed NAMM this year. Sorry, man. He has a question right out of the gate about, playing open-handed, which we're going to get into, Dave. So I'm not going to ask it yet, but it's coming. My mom's hanging with us. Hey, who knew? Mom's here. So it's really funny. My mom's been in the chats lately, which is very nice. And my sister's been coming into the chats. Mom, I hope you're practicing. All right, so the open-handed thing we're going to get to kind of in your story. But let's go back to the very beginning. I know, you were saying earlier your dad is a musician, planted that seed at a young age. So let's just go right back from the very beginning. And of course. And your mom was, you guys might even have pictures of you in diapers with drumsticks.
Yeah. As embarrassing as that is to say. I mean, I don't remember it, but I remember my mom telling me and showing me a photo of me in a diaper with a box set around my neck, drumsticks in my hands, still a baby, just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm loving it. And then, as a kid, having those plastic little guitars, playing that till it probably broke, and then, strumming on my dad's guitar and all that stuff. And remember I was like 3 or 4 years old at my cousin's wedding, and apparently I'd asked the band leader if I can play the drums at some point, and they let me. My feet couldn't touch the pedals, so it was hands only.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's when my parents kind of knew, like, he's going to be a drummer. And then at 6 years old, they got me my first drum set, which was a kit and company called Max, M-A-X-X. I remember it was a black kit, and I just played it every single day after school. I'd come home, drop my backpack, and go play drums for hours. There'd be many a time where my parents would have to, come get me, because it was in a little shed for dinner and to do homework and stuff like that. And I took lessons from 6 years old to still, to this day. And
that drum kit, was that a scaled down, small drum kit for a 6-year-old? Kind of scaled down?
It was a full-size kit.
Full-size kit. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember I had Sabian B8 cymbals.
Nice.
It came with Remo drum heads. I believe they were pinstripes, and I played that thing to no end. I mean, I remember, I think one of my first clinics I saw was Dom when I was 15, and then I started taking lessons with him, and then, as we mentioned earlier, John Favicki, who I, speak to a lot and still ask him a ton of questions and plenty of advice. But I remember, just always playing. And I went to summer camp as a kid, so the neighbors would always know when I'm gone because they wouldn't hear drums.
Nice. Yeah. It's funny. My mom would always say that, she worked nights. Okay. So she slept during the day. I was always playing. But, I'd be like, oh, didn't it, thinking back, didn't it bother you? She was like, no, because I knew you were home and you were safe. So if you're playing drums, I knew where you were. If she didn't hear drums, she had no idea where I was, which, in Brooklyn at that time was probably not a good thing. But so by the way, still playing Sabian from those Sabian B8s. Yep. Not bringing the B8s though out anymore, I would suppose.
No, I use the Complex series, except for the Holy China that I have out. Other than that, everything is Complex.
It looked like, okay, because it looked like on there's a drum cam video of you. It looked like Artisans.
How recent?
I don't know. I don't know if it was that recent. I didn't see the date, but it looked like Artisans because, where's my? Oh, my 15s are on my kit. I have 15-inch Artisans over there. Wait, let me see if I can.
Ooh.
My snare is removed because I was doing something for offset pedals. So I had the pedals front and center. But the hi-hat, those are 15-inch Artisans. But Doesn't the complex still have the raw bell?
Yes, all the complexes have the raw bell. So
Yeah.
I started playing the complexes in 2020. The first gig I used them on was SNL.
Oh, nice.
And I have people ask me all the time, what are my hi-hats? And they're not actual complex hi-hats. And I don't want people to steal my idea. Well, technically it was Rick Murray's idea because he tried them at Memphis Drum Shop and he said, hey, you need to do this. You'll be the only guy in the country, maybe the world, using these. So I did. And they
Nice.
sound amazing, but it's the 16-inch HHX thin complex crash on top and 16-inch HHX complex medium on bottom. And they sound out of this world and they're so musical. And if you ever need 16-inch hats, I got two right there.
Nice. Yeah, that's sweet. Um, those are great sounding cymbals. I just
yeah.
have a new 20-inch dark complex crash right there on my kit. Yeah, that's a great sounding cymbal. All right, so back. So now so you were 6 years old, you started playing. Your first drum teacher,
Yeah, his I don't remember his last name. I do remember his first name though.
was it private lessons or was it like Long Island Drum Center? Because you're from the North Shore of Long Island, right?
Yes. So I'm from like Oldfield, Setauket area.
Okay.
And I always took private lessons. I went to this middle school, high school, didn't have a band program. So
Right.
even all throughout that, I took private lessons from Dom and John.
Nice.
And,
So going out to Dom's shed.
yeah, and Port Jeff.
Yeah. Probably,
Yeah.
I mean, at the time when you started, it wasn't in the drum. Well, maybe it was. What year was that when you started with Dom?
2005.
Oh, so was it in his basement still?
I think it was still in his basement.
Still in his
and
basement, yeah, because the building came later.
building was like, I think he had the plans of doing it,
Yeah,
and it wasn't really in the process of being built yet, but
right.
it was a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, two obviously incredible teachers.
Yeah, Fav's great too. And did you went through his Elements book?
Yeah, I have it in my closet.
Yeah,
So-
man, I have it right over there. Yeah, very cool, man. Fab was just talking about you the other day. We had a good chat. Yeah, man.
They're both wonderful people aside from musicians.
Right. I mean, doesn't it all start with that in the business? It's like, it's great to be great at what you do, but at the same time, you have to be a good person and somebody that people want to be around. Man, it's like
I'd say that's, I mean, 70% of it. I mean, especially when it comes to, and I'm hope I'm not going on a tangent here, but being on the road, it's like, doesn't matter if you're in a 15-passenger van or a tour bus, or, you're flying somewhere, but, depending on the show, you're either playing for 25, 30 minutes, or you're playing for 90 minutes to an hour or 45 minutes. And other than that, you're hanging the rest of the day. So if you're not a good hang and you're a bad seed, no one's going to want to be around you, even if you're the best player in the world.
Indeed. So you go through the formal stuff. I also, like middle school, I was in the band program. It wasn't, from my recollection, it wasn't really a big thing. My high school didn't have a band program. So in high school, I was playing in bands, outside of high school, playing clubs. I started doing that pretty early, and then playing like pit stuff, like doing regional theaters and stuff like that. So what did you do, without the band program in the schools? And I had a band in middle school too, that we started playing like street fairs and stuff like that in Brooklyn, So what did you do without those band programs? Because we kind of had to invent our own, approach. So
so funny enough, one of the first bands I was in, I didn't even play drums. I played guitar.
Oh, wow.
And then another band I was in within high school, I played drums in. And I don't know if we might have played out like once or twice.
Okay.
But they were just like kind of come over and we would just like mess around. And it wasn't anything like too serious. I would have liked it to be more serious, but that's okay. You know, you're still in high school and stuff. And
Right.
but I really started playing when I was in college. Played with like a few different people. I went to school at University of the Arts in Philadelphia.
Yep.
I've had the, you know, just like John and Dom, but I've had the honor of studying with Mark DiCiani, who I'm still very, very close with.
Nice.
And do you know who Jerry Brown is?
Yeah.
So with Jerry, became close with him, and then Jimmy Paxson as well.
Wow.
So I've had a wonderful, just round of teachers before even moving to Nashville. And yeah, one of my best friends, we played in a band together. We played like Cafe Wah in Manhattan. We played The Groove, and then we played like World Cafe Live in Philly and the Milk Bowl and all that stuff.
I've played World Cafe Live. Actually,
it's a cool spot.
few years ago. Played it a few times with Roger Street Freeman Band. I played with a singer-songwriter that we played that venue a bunch.
Nice. So I went from World Cafe Live to then in 2019 doing, I don't know, I think it was 2 nights at Wells Fargo Center on our own headlining tour.
Wow.
And doing a clinic at my college, which was super cool.
That's crazy. So like, you know, like going from, I was going to ask you about that sort of the ramp up, like from the small club, small venue, as it ramps up to the bigger venues.
Mm-hmm.
Because it kind of happened quickly in a way, right? I mean, from the time that you made the move, you know, you finished college, you were home for a little while, then you made the move to Nashville, and then things happened kind of quickly for you in Nashville. You know,
very much so.
Yeah, compared to what some people do. I mean, I went and spent some time in Nashville in like 2009, I think, or 2010. And first of all, I'm a true lefty. So
I noticed that it was actually left-handed.
Yeah. So like sitting in. So one thing that my advice to lefties that are true lefties is learn to play open-handed on a righty kit. Get your foot skills really good so you can play on a righty kit at just as comfortable as you can on a lefty kit. Because sitting in can be problematic because people don't want you to touch stuff. People don't want you to change things around. You know, like we kind of get, you know, subbing on Broadway, almost impossible unless you play right-handed. As a you know. Can't move anything. So if you truly have to play lefty, it better be your show that you're starting. Or, you know, sitting in some club situations, people don't want you touching anything, or it's too tight, you know, and you don't want to mess things up. You're like, oh man, if I got to move the hi-hat and the floor tom, it's just going to become an issue. So, you know, that's my advice. But you did the whole, you know, honky tonks on Broadway, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I moved to town. It was beginning of August 2013, and Mark had put me in touch with an alumni here, and she invited me to a party on Music Row. I want to say it was like my second or third day in town, and of course I was going to say, yeah, you say yes to anything when you're first starting out.
Yes.
I met this drummer who I'm still good buddies with, and he said to me, "I'm playing downtown tonight. You should come sit in." I wasn't going to say no. That would be silly of me. Sat in, perfect timing and luck. A bass player who was incredibly inebriated walked in, saw me play, and I got off. I played 2 tunes, and he came up to me after and said, "Hey, you were really great. Is this your gig?" And I said, "I just moved to town a day or 2 ago." And he said, "Well, we're holding auditions tomorrow. Our drummer is leaving the gig. You should come audition." I did. And then I found I got the gig an hour later. So the rest of that week and the beginning of the next week, I went and just sat in on every gig they had. And then I started in the middle of my second week, which is very rare.
Right.
And then
wait, step back for 1 second. Step back. So you're just coming to town. Now here's the question.
Fresh. I know no one. The only person I know is my cousin who's younger than me who goes to Vanderbilt.
Right. So now, you know, you come into town. Also, you're coming from sort of being a New York guy, going to school in Philly. What are you listening to before you move to Nashville? Are you already tapping into the country scene, or?
Oh yeah. So my junior year of college, I don't know if I was like on, there's a website called bandmix.com. I don't know if it was that or something else, but I remember I went to go audition for this girl who lives in Jersey who was doing country. And I was like, you know what, if I want to get into country music, and this girl lived in, I think, Jersey at the time. So I did that and nothing came about of that, which is okay. And but that summer I went on Billboard Hot Country Radio, like top 30 songs, and I would just chart maybe 12 to 15 songs a day.
Right.
And whatever I didn't get to that day, I do the next day. And I figured I'm going to have to play all these songs downtown.
Right.
And I want to get my charting up and I want to learn these songs and have them down. So did all that and just engrossed myself in country music.
Okay. I had a feeling you were going to say that, but because that would really be the only way for you to get downtown, and actually you got to know the tunes. Because otherwise, if you were just walking in, kind of, flubbing through everything, no one would have said, "Hey, man, you should be our drummer." So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah. So you went in, you had the top 40 down.
I only played 6 of them since playing downtown. Of that 5 months I did it, I only played 6 of the tunes, and I had a chart when I got here, probably 100 something more, which
yeah.
You're doing 12 to 15 songs a day, your hands cramping up, you need to take breaks. But I was doing it pretty much all day whenever I wasn't playing, say, till that night.
Yeah.
So yeah, I unfortunately don't know where all those charts went, but
so you're writing pretty much shorthand charts, like kind of, main groove, chorus groove, bridge groove, whatever, stops, where all the stops are, kind of in shorthand, or you're writing full on transcriptions?
I was writing full on transcriptions. I still do to this day. I kind of took a page from Rich where it's a semi-skeleton-esque, like if there's a bar that repeats 2 or 3 times, I'll put like a 2 or a 3 after it.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty much I like having all the fills written down. I like to play the song and serve the song like it was recorded.
Right.
I think that's really, really important.
Me too. And it's fun. It's kind of funny. Like I've done a lot of like club dates and weddings and corporates and those kind of gigs. So I would do the same thing. I would transcribe note for note every single tune, especially, of course you do that for like first dances or, anything where it's going to be really the main thing. But I would transcribe every single fill, whether it's a funk tune from the 70s or a Latin tune. I would write everything out because you're playing it that authentically. People are going to notice, and they know when you're faking it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to like be right on the money. So I love that you were doing that. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, I think I can do the Nashville number system with like the ones,
right?
But I'd much rather have, and I think it's easier for me to memorize and internalize a song when I see it while I'm playing it.
Right.
Because you can't, the number chart's great, but even if you just write out like this groove here, this groove here, there's still so many little intricacies that are going on. You can't memorize it all when you're just learning a tune.
Yeah, no way. I mean, as far as I like the information that you get on a Nashville number system chart, just in that what the changes are, which for drummers, I had this discussion with I think with the guys last week, but it's like when you're doing Nashville charts, at least you know what the changes are going to be, because if you're in a rehearsal situation and they're like, "Hey man, take it from the 4 chord," if you're a drummer and you have a drum transcription, you have no idea where they're talking about, unless you're like a guitar player, maybe like yourself, where you know where the 4 chord was, but most drummers don't know. So those can give you some information. But for me, I would want to have my Nashville number system chart and my transcription on the music stand.
Yes, I totally agree.
For tracking, at least, so.
Oh, definitely for tracking. And the sessions I have done, it is, there's usually a number chart.
Yeah.
And I'll just kind of write a groove, because you're being more creative. So you don't have to write every little detail out, but.
Cool. Yeah, man. All right. So So now you're downtown. You get that first gig. So what was that band, by the way, that first gig?
They were called the Lower Broadway Band, and there's been a few iterations of them, and I'm still pretty close with the bass player. And he's the only person from that group that I still talk to.
Wow.
But he's a great guy. Like, he's invited me to his place for Christmas and stuff like that, and all
sweet.
this stuff.
And they were kicking around for a while, right? When you got that gig.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think they've been around for a minute.
Right. And so you have that going on, and then I know that you reached. I think you did some lessons, but you reached out to our friend Jim Riley down there.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave you some really good advice, right?
Yeah, I took 2 lessons from Jim, and this was so. Before I came to Nashville, I went to visit when I was still a senior in college, and there was a clothing store that recently closed. I met a guy there who was a drummer, and he said, reach out to me. We'll get coffee when you get to the town. Did that, and 5 months after I was playing downtown, he reached out. We'd gotten coffee within that time frame, and he reached out and he said, "Hey, I'm leaving this gig. I think it'd be great for you. You should audition." So I did. The group was called the Mulch Brothers. I'm still close with one of the guys today, and did that for about 6-7 months, and it was a great foot in the door. It wasn't like a major touring thing or anything like that, but it was still like, hey, I'm on the road touring. That's all I'm doing.
Right.
And then one of the lessons I took with Jim, I said, I'd really like to, I know this is not my end all be all. I really like to play with someone more my age who I feel like I can grow with. And he said, you should go to writers' rounds. Right. All writers are trying to be artists and the musicians. And that is when I went to a spot called Tin Roof on Demumbrian, and it was a round called Revival, that is not happening at that bar anymore. They moved it, but okay. I knew no one in there. And I couldn't even get to the front of the stage. It was that crowded. And I happened to walk in. So I'm standing behind the stage, and I hear this guy. He's about to play his last song, and it's Luke. And had no idea who he was. Heard him play the song She Got the Best of Me, and was just blown away by the song, blown away by his voice. Yeah. So I just went up and talked to him afterwards. And, we hit it off, and he wanted to know what I did. And he said, I have a gig next week. I need a drummer. Would you want to play? And I said yes immediately. And, I said, please, email me your songs so I could do my homework, and did all that. And then was the first one probably 30 minutes early with all my gear already set up for, I'd like to call it the rehearsal / my audition.
Right. So wait, when for that audition, did he send you full demos, like with drums on them and everything, or?
Yeah, they were fully recorded tunes.
Okay. So did you, once again, fully transcribe? So you got everything the drummer played on the recordings?
Yeah, I have all that.
Yeah. So
I think I still have a lot of it. I still have everything to this day.
Right. So you walk in, you're playing it just like the record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then obviously we also did, like at that time, we did cover tunes as well.
Right.
And I charted those out as well.
Yeah.
And then so then we did that gig. The first gig I remember was at a frat house at the University of Alabama.
How does that go?
Huh?
How did that go?
It was great, except I was the only one without a floor wedge. So I was relying on obviously my ears. And, I couldn't really, I had my charts to the left of me just to scan down. Yeah. Even though I had everything memorized. And, the lights were like neon lights, so you couldn't really see much. But it went really well. And then he and I, we started hanging out once a week. I would just go to his place and just know each other. And then he called me a couple of months later, after the few months had gone by, I guess when he was starting to get shows, and he said, hey, I want you to be my guy. Do you want to do this full time? And I said, yes, I'd love to. Let's do it. And here we are going on 8 years.
Wow.
I'm the only guy who's never missed a single show from the very beginning.
So in that little space where the couple months went by, you guys weren't playing, but you were hanging.
Yeah. We were hanging. I was going to his place once a week just to like get to know each other and all that stuff. Like we play video games, Madden, all that
Right.
stuff.
Nice.
And just learn about each other, learn are we both into sports? What are we into? All this stuff, and just to kind of get to know each other's personality. And I think he was able to tell him just like a nice, just genuine, humble guy who just loves to play drums and just loves, wants to be there for the artist,
Right.
whatever I can. So
And so during that time, I mean, you were seeing him starting to get a buzz, right, in the industry, because
his buzz didn't really happen till I want to say 20. His first record came out 2017.
right,
The first single was Hurricane, which I believe that went number one. I forgot when in 2017, but after that, then they just kind of started to go one after another after another.
yeah, yeah,
So, um, but no one, all these labels and whatnot didn't want to take a chance on him because he didn't look like everyone else.
right, right.
So,
But he's got that voice, man, and I think the game has changed. It's like, if you look at country like early 2000s, everybody was like, look like models out of like GQ and Cosmopolitan, you know what I mean? And now I think it's a game changer. Like things have changed a bit where it's like, you look at guys like Chris Stapleton, and Luke, and it's like
that movement.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's people are just like going like, oh my God, this guy sings like so great. Like Luke's sound and just him playing acoustic and singing. I mean, he just sounds so great. So it doesn't
Well,
really.
I think one of the best parts, aside from the fact he's an incredible singer and an incredible songwriter, is that he just gravitates towards a bunch, anybody. Like you can just look at him and be like, yeah, I'd go have a beer with this guy at the bar.
Yeah.
Something like that. But also like he's just such a wonderful, kind, humble, funny person.
Right.
He's not, like he doesn't act any different than he did when we were just starting out.
Yeah.
So,
What's funny? I don't know why I just thought of this, but like think about the early days when Zach Brown Band first came around. They didn't really look like anybody either. And they got that popularity. Also, I think the whole look thing is overrated and it really isn't a thing anymore. It's like the voice. It's really about the voice and the writing,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And all his songs, people can connect with, honestly, I think any of them in one way or another.
Yeah.
Even songs that aren't singles, you hear and you're like, man, that could be a number one.
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs to play is a song called Must Have Never Met You. And that could be a number one easily.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
But unfortunately, all his songs can't be singles.
Yeah, yeah.
Which would be awesome if that was the case.
That'd be amazing. Man, so you're there from the very beginning before Luke Combs was, really being sung in everybody's cars. Like from the very early days. So my question is, so the records, so you're his touring guy, but
Yes.
you were there from the beginning. So like sort of, even though, so the recordings that were there before, were they what were on the records, or were those recordings sort of demos before that?
I know one of the songs that we had played, they recut it. This
Right.
song called She Got the Best of Me, they recut it. So it's different drums. But I know for the first full length record, that was obviously a few years after we've already began, but the other songs, those were already cut and those haven't changed.
Right. And then getting all those drum parts. So, basically, do you take some liberties now, or did you just learn everything the way it was done on the record, note for note?
It depends on the song.
Yeah.
I try to, for the most part, play it like the tune. There's a fun song that is not a single called Don't Tempt Me with a Good Time. And the verses are slightly reggae-esque.
Okay.
So one of my favorite drummers of all time is Stuart Copeland.
Yeah.
And I try to, put a little bit of that into that feel with the hi-hat and all that stuff. So in that regard, I get a little bit of leeway, but for the most part, I try to play it like the record,
Yeah. And I
especially like
mean,
signature fills and stuff like that.
right. Of course, setups and signature fills. I mean, and also, watching you play, because I watched some footage, man, it's like super solid,
Thank you.
really killer. And are you running a click for everything? Because it looked like there was a sample pad to your left.
Yeah, it's a Yamaha multi-12 pad.
Right. So on that pad, are you triggering clicks, or are there backing loops or anything?
So we don't use any tracks. We
Okay.
never have and never will.
Great. I love that.
We just use a click. It's through Ableton, which
Okay,
I
cool.
created the sound and all that stuff. It's just a shaker that's, depending on the tune, is eighth notes or quarter notes. And
Good.
I just use the pad to start, stop, and really that's it.
Nice.
Or if there's a few times where I might like accidentally, like, you hit the pad and the tip of the stick might hit it again and jumps down one more, even though it's playing the right song, I'm gonna have to hit the like up pad, which that rarely happens. But other than that, yeah, I just use it for start and stop, and it's great.
Nice.
And then I have a Alesis SR18 next to that as a backup just in case.
Okay. Yeah, that's smart. Man, because I just saw some footage the other day. I think it was like on social media or something, and I don't remember who it is. I wish I could, but so somebody was playing, big show, big venue. I think the in-ears went out, and he was playing to tracks and a click. So his tech was hitting the back of his leg to the click, because he was able to either see it on the video screen, or I think he was looking at Ableton, or he had a feed also, and he's smacking the drummer's leg to give him the click so he would stay in time for that tune, and they can make the fix, I guess. But that's like a drummer's worst nightmare, especially if you have tracks running, right? So it's like, oh my God, I just can't imagine.
I mean, the worst time I've ever had to really deal with, it wasn't a click issue, it was a gear issue. In 2019, we did Stagecoach, and we had a show the night before, so we flew to California. They backlined a kit for me. It was probably from Coachella, so I had my own sticks.
Right.
I think it was my own snare and cymbals, but I guess all the hardware was stripped, and I remember hitting one of my crash cymbals, which is already slightly angled. So it went from like slightly angled to completely flat, and I couldn't hit it. My hi-hat clutch came undone. I had no time at all throughout the set to fix it. My snare basket, which I angled slightly towards me, kept falling towards me. One of my first floor tom legs the floor tom was falling on me. So I called my tech at least 6 times during that show, and I just thought it took the fun out of it for me, really, on that one.
Yeah.
It was just like, I was just in my head, what's going to go wrong next?
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I didn't feel like, because of that, I didn't feel like I played my best. And I get those things happen. And,
Right.
we did check everything beforehand, but you still, things happen, and that's part of it.
Yeah.
You got through it, and that's what you got to do.
Yeah. I was just going to mention one thing, and this is so rare, but I had a beater go through the bass drum once in a show, which
What'd you do?
so took duct tape and basically created got through the tune. I think it was hitting the floor tom as a bass drum. Got through the tune, and then had the vocalist do a little banter and just taped it up. But I came up with an idea, and I was going to throw this out to Remo and say, like, listen, make a patch. You know how you get those little EQ pads, or the little tiny round things for your beater?
Patches?
Make a giant one that's like 12-inch round. You just peel it and stick it right on the head for in case that ever happens. You know what I mean? Because typically, I mean, if the beater was going to go through, it's going to slice it right in the center, right? So if you had an applique that you could put right over it, boom, at least you could play, and the mic is still going to be picking up some kind of a transient. But yeah, that only happened once in my entire life, and that's how I dealt with it. I don't know. What would you do?
Man, I haven't had that happen yet on a show of this size, but I remember one time we were playing in North Carolina at this place called the Gray Eagle, and it was like the second to last song. And my beater, it didn't go like through the head, but it broke like the first film and it got stuck. So
Oh,
at the time I had to play the floor tom, and then I just moved the pedal over a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But now what we have done, I carry a backup pedal and I set it up directly to the right of my main pedal. So if I do break the head, I still have a pedal next to me that I can hit at least the side of the kick drum head.
Yeah, that's smart.
So, but it was funny. My tech was like, man, if we actually broke the head, they would have to like do an acoustic song, and it'd probably take me like 3 minutes to change the head.
Right, to change the head out.
You could carry another kick drum.
Right. Or you could do like Stanton Moore. You could have like a remote pedal with a bass drum over to the side.
That'd be super cool.
That's a whole nother drum to take, but
yeah. And I don't know if I'd have to really configure my kit a little differently to fit that if that were the case.
right, yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess the only other way would be like an electronic pad with a pedal with a kick sound, so that if that ever happened, you're on that. And then when the acoustic song does come up, because you probably got a couple in your set, right, or at least one.
Yeah, there's two that usually go back to back.
Yeah, like the two. So then you could change it out at that point. But oh my god! But I thought the peel and stick big head would be like an awesome thing.
I think that'd be brilliant.
Yeah,
you obviously can't keep gaff tape next to you. I mean, you can, but
but it takes too long. I mean, a 12-inch applique would just be like peel, boom, done. All right, let's go. Cool. So now ramping it up. So like playing small venues to playing medium-sized venues, to like theaters. The theater's getting a little big. What was the first one where you were like, oh, wow, like these are getting bigger?
So let's see. I believe it was 2015, we did a few shows with Eli Young Band.
Okay.
Played this place called the Egyptian Room, and I forgot where it was, but it seemed like a pretty big theater. And that was really neat. And we did like the Fox Theater as well.
Nice.
So those were really cool in 2015. And then 2016, we went out with this guy, and there were more clubs. It was fun though. I still think a theater is definitely bigger than the club. And then 2017 is when we were first of three on our first arena tour.
Gotcha.
And that was where it was like, this is definitely a lot bigger than the other two or three.
Yeah.
So you gotta, hit harder, and you'll still put it in the room, but you're like, okay, this is how my drums sound in a room of this size.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and now monitoring and everything else becomes way, way more critical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, definitely. And and I mean, even we did a club tour in 2017, 18. And so going from arenas back to clubs, you're like, okay, like still holds a few thousand. It doesn't hold like 10,000, but it still holds a few thousand. And you can still let loose to a degree. You still got to have fun and all that stuff. So the good thing was like, we already came from that. So I already knew like what to do how to play, I should say.
Right.
And then back to arenas, and then more arenas and now stadiums. So
that's I think that's a good thing. I mean, playing back and forth from a mix of that, because who knows where the careers take people, right? It's like,
exactly,
you got to be able to do it all.
You do. One of the best of the many things I learned in college, one of the best things I learned was, you got to play the room.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Let's just say hello to a couple other people that popped in here. So Artie Waltzer, what's up, man? Artie's a great piano player that I played in a vocal trio around New York City called Black Tie back in the 90s, I want to say, I think. So we were like playing up in Harlem and playing places like Don't Tell Mamas downtown. We played the Capitol Theater, like doing they're a jazz vocal trio that I play with. So nice to see you in here. Wow, it's been a long time. My good friend Larry Rizzo hanging with us tonight. Larry, what's up, man? Good to have you here. Dave Stark still hanging with us. Bob Sears up in New Hampshire hanging with us. Jim Royal in Connecticut hanging with us. How you doing, Jim Royal? Jim Royal's been on the show. He's an educator, drummer educator in Connecticut. Great guy, Jim Royal Drum Studios. If you guys have any questions, definitely hit us up. So I wanted to get to the open-handed thing because, so you study with Dom. Dom was, really exploring the open-handed side of things and actually did open-handed playing volumes 1 and 2 with Klaus Hessler, who was my guest the other day. I don't know. Do you know Klaus?
I don't know him personally, but I do remember, when studying with Dom, he'd mentioned Klaus and the books he was doing with open-handed and
So did that seed get planted with the Dom thing, or were you already playing open-handed before that?
I was already playing open-handed before that. When I got my first kit when I was 6, it was already set up as a righty would play it. And I just sat down and my arms just kind of fell naturally to my left hand on the hi-hat, my right hand on the snare drum, and it just felt natural. I even tried just for fun switching it to an actual lefty kit, and my left foot was just like, no, dude, this is not going to work out.
So you're a lefty by nature.
Yes. So I right lefty, but I swing a golf club righty.
Oh, wait. So if you were going to ride a skateboard, which foot do you kick with?
My right.
Oh, okay.
So my ride symbol is.
So you kick a ball righty.
No, I kick a ball lefty.
You kick a ball lefty. And your ride symbol's on the right side, so you do play righty ride.
Yes.
Lefty hat.
Mm-hmm.
You ever do the Simon thing where you put the lefty ride also?
No. I just think for my setup, it would just look weird with just a big hole in the middle.
Yeah. Well, you could have 2 rides. But you're comfortable riding. Well, if you had to do really technical stuff, are you cool?
I can do my right hand. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, cool, man. So do you feel like you're totally balanced and sort of symmetrical on both sides?
For the most part, I can definitely tell there's sometimes I'm actually better with my right hand on the ride symbol when I could do more things than my left. But for the most part, pretty symmetrical.
Interesting. So wait, is there any groove where you definitely want to be playing left-hand lead over right-hand lead and then vice versa? So if you were going to play something like Rosanna, like the Purdy Shuffle or something.
100%. I was going to bring that up. 100% left-hand lead.
Yeah.
Still working on it with my right hand. It's getting there, but it's not I'm I can do it. It might take me a few minutes, but definitely left hand.
So are most shuffles on the left?
Yes.
In general?
For me, yeah. I mean, we really...
Except probably a Chicago-style shuffle doesn't really matter. Like if your hands are in unison, if you're playing a cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, it doesn't really matter.
And it's totally fine. Yeah.
But if there's a ton of ghost notes, like if you're going to play Fool in the Rain kind of groove.
Oh, right hand on snare for ghost notes and all that stuff.
Yeah. All right, got you. Okay, that's important. I was just wondering, what about if you had to play a Latin thing, if you're going to play a total mambo or cascara kind of thing?
That would be my right hand on the ride.
Interesting. Okay.
I if I was doing a bossa nova, it's left hand on the hi-hat. I can do it on the ride though.
Okay.
I haven't played a cascara or anything like that in so long.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely have touch with that, unfortunately so, but
you mean you're not ready for that Latin gig tomorrow? You got to do it.
I mean, listen, I could stay up all night, and that's the type of guy I would be I would be prepping hardcore. I know just from, previous, getting for rehearsals and stuff, I'd be awake at 8 in.
Yeah.
Have a quick breakfast, and then I can't play my actual drums that early. So I'd be up practicing new tunes starting at 9:30 and literally going till 9 or 9:30 at night straight through, maybe taking a 5-minute break for lunch and same thing for dinner. And that's it.
Dude, I love that. I love that work ethic. I'm with you 100%.
Dead in the eye sockets or whatever. And I can't look at a page anymore.
Right. Oh man. Um, so that's interesting. So because I was wondering about that. Like, you know, I switch back and forth a little bit.
Mhm.
But I'm definitely more comfortable leading certain things, lefty, not at all righty. But if I'm doing straight rock grooves or two beat kind of stuff, anything like that, I'm good switching back and forth. Shuffles, if it's like a double hand shuffle kind of thing, definitely cool switching either way. But certain things, man, it's like, you got to be on your home base, right?
Oh yeah. So he's got a song that I love. It's actually a lot of fun to play live. It's called One Too Many. And it's hard to hear unless you obviously have the stems, but the hi-hat and snare for the verses are going, but on the record, when you listen to it, you can't hear you just hear the 2 and the 4 and the snare drum.
Right, right.
So, learning that the song's at 148 BPM, that's
Yeah.
quick. And the kick drum's on 4 on the floor. So it's,
Yeah.
and, that was a lot of fun to practice. And that took some time too, even though it's like, your hands are doing the same thing, but it's like, you don't want your hi-hat accenting on the 2 and the 4 when your snare drum's doing that. So
Yeah. Oh, cool. You guys got any like hardcore train beats in your set?
definitely not. And I have not used brushes since college.
You know what's funny, man, is, I work for a singer-songwriter, so we do a lot of, and Larry Campbell is our producer, who's from like Lee Von Helm fame.
Okay.
And so we do a lot of this sort of brush train beat kind of stuff, or stuff that's got a little bit of that element in it. So I actually use brushes and rods and things like that a lot, within our sets. So it's interesting, like having to keep train beats always happening. And then I play in this other thing, which is sort of a prog Americana weird mix thing. And we have tons of train beats. So like I'm always doing train beats. It's so funny. And I'm like the New York guy. So anyway, I just figured I'd ask that.
I keep a set of brushes and rods in my stick bag just in case.
Yeah.
They're never pulled out though.
Yeah, all good. Cool, man. And so you guys, right now you're kind of on a slight little break, but you have the CMAs coming up, right?
Yes.
So
Saturday.
Speak to that. Like, so the first time that you guys did like TV stuff, you said was the Today Show, right?
Yes.
So like for me, we did the Good Morning Nashville.
That's cool. That's something we've never done.
Yeah. So we did Good Morning Nashville. And speaking of Jim Riley, he hooked us up with Gary Murray, who plays fiddle and guitar in Darius Rucker's band. Because I was like, Jim, we're coming to town. We're doing Good Morning Nashville, and we need a fiddle player. I was like, do you know anybody? And he's like, if I didn't know a fiddle player in Nashville, he goes, I wouldn't even deserve to live here. So he hooked us up with Gary Murray. Do you know him?
He still plays with Darius, right?
Yeah. He plays like, he's a great utility guy. Like he plays a whole bunch of things. Yeah.
Yeah, we've done some shows overseas with Darius, and we've hung out with that camp a decent amount. Actually, Gary's been one of our co-drivers here and there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man.
He's a great guy.
He drives he drives the bus for Darius. And I was like, man, that's really smart. He goes, yeah, it's called job security. I was like, nice. So he's like playing all these instruments, plus he drives. So that's smart, man. So that was like the first TV kind of thing. So that was like nerve-wracking. So for you, is the Today Show in New York here?
Yeah, it was Today
Wow.
Show in New York, and
cool.
man, I was so freaking nervous because you hear the click in your ears, but you have the stage manager counting you in like 5, 4, 3, and you're like, if their one doesn't line up with your one, you have to have a split second to like wait. I'm like, man, is this gonna mess the whole thing up? All this stuff, and there's only been 2 times. The show went perfectly, like it was smooth, but there's only like one other time where I was that nervous for a situation of that nature. And I think it was one of the two times we did Kimmel.
Oh,
I think it was
okay.
the first time we did Kimmel, because you're kind of like, you have the click going, and they're like 5, 4, 3, and you're like, okay, well, here we go. Um, but I always get with the stage manager, and I'm like, okay, I'll start counting in when the Jimmy or whoever says, and now again, Luke Combs, but
How long is
for
your count in? 2 bars?
no, it's usually just 1 bar. It depends
Okay.
on the song. Like When It Rains, It Pours. That's a 2 bar count. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 lyric pickup, and then
Right, right. So
but for most it's 1 bar.
yeah, so dealing with their count and you because they're counting, whatever they're feeling, right? Oh man, that's tricky, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, whew. Yeah. We played. I forgot. I think it was a CMA Awards or a CMT Award, one of the award shows, and the stage manager was like, "Hey, I'm going to flash my light at you to start." And I think it was like Dolly Parton and somebody else introducing, but I didn't hear them in my ears. But I saw the stage manager like flashing his light at me to start.
Oh,
And the wall was supposed to, like, there's a wall in front of us. The wall's supposed to be like coming up. So I'm counting in, and we do the song and stuff like that. But I was kind of like one of the guys was like, "Hey, what happened?" And I was like, the stage manager was like, "Hey, go." So he said to go. So you got to do what he says.
oh man.
So,
There
but
should be
apparently everything went just fine.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I think on the audience side, like if it took 2 extra seconds for the song to start, nobody cares. But it's like, you have the stage managers trying to get things, right in time. It's all timed for television. There should be some conversion chart of like, all right, the song is 86 BPM and the stage manager is going to count to 4, but he's going to count around 60 BPM. It's like, how does it all line up? That's tricky,
yeah.
man.
And then there's times where it's like, say a song is a little longer than they need it to be. They need it to be for TV. So there's times where they're like, "Hey, you guys have to shave off like 30 seconds of a song for
Right.
TV, and just let us play the full song."
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, I think so in that case, I mean, you guys have to go like, all right, right after the second verse, we're going to jump to the pre-chorus, chorus and out or something. Like you have to on the spot arrange something.
We usually rehearse it like a day or two before and talk about it, of like, hey, like at the end, instead of like going back to this, like let's shave a bit of it off.
Right, right.
So, or like in the, if there's an intro that's a little longer, we'll like say you cut it a few, a little bit. But
see, if it's going to commercial, then you're just playing into the commercial. Like if it's a talk show kind of thing or something like that, then it's sort of, you can just play a part of it, and then as soon as they cut, you're done. But when it's timed where it has to end and have like a hard stop, that's tough.
yeah,
Oh,
we've
man.
never had to play into a commercial, so that's a good thing.
Well, that was like the Good Morning Nashville thing was like, we did these sort of bumpers where it was like, okay, the girls would talk and then they would be like, coming up in the next segment, Roger Street Freeman. And we would like play part of a tune and then they would cut to commercial and then we'd stop, go back to the green room, sort of that kind of setup. So the CMAs, that kind of thing. Now, does that feel like a different animal than doing a regular show? Or is it really kind of the same?
So
for
this
you
is
guys?
CMA Fest. This is not even like an award show. This is
CMA Fest, right.
just this is like,
Huge.
picture a smaller version of Times Square with people coming from all over the world who love country music.
Right.
And literally being on like one, 5 or 6 blocks, but it's like one long, avenue.
Right.
And it's just like, it is an absolute nightmare.
Oh my God.
But it's fun. It's like great to people watch, but like, I don't plan on, going downtown at all.
Yeah.
We're playing Nissan Stadium where the Titans play for, this is our third time doing it. We did it in 2018, 2019. Unfortunately, obviously due to COVID, there was no CMA Fest. So last year they did a 2-night thing called CMA Summer Jam, and it was at the new amphitheater. So we got the headline the second night, which was really cool. So this will be our third time playing Nissan, and
Nice.
we're playing Saturday night, which is like the biggest night. We're the headlining act, which is really cool. And so we have our set list, and I think now that we've headlined 2 stadiums and now have that under our belts. Not like the other 2 times we weren't nervous or anything like that, but now it's like, hey, this is our time,
Right.
you know. And I think we're playing like 9 or 10 songs.
Nice.
You know, I would love if it was like, hey, you know, just play like a hour set and we'll just clip the songs that we want.
Right.
But, you know, unfortunately it's not like that. But I know, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and you know, get to use all of our own gear and all that stuff, which makes it more comfortable. And you go in early, and what I plan on doing at least is you go for camera blocking and sound check.
Right.
Even though I might live 15 minutes away from downtown, I'm not coming home because I know traffic's going to be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. So you guys, are you going to be hanging in a hotel, or where are you going to be staying?
I'll just hang in the arena. Like, they'll have green rooms for us. And I'm sure like I think we'd have some of our buses there.
Yeah, cool.
So we'll hang there.
Nice.
And then, you know, they have catering there.
Yep.
You know, do all that stuff, and then play, and you might hang for a bit, wait till the people leave and drive home.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Once the traffic is gone, the coast is clear.
mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Once all the Ubers and Lyfts left, or
yeah.
we're done walking over the walking bridge.
So, what venue have you not played yet that you would be really excited to play?
So I'm bummed they changed the name of it, but it was the old Staples Center. There's a outdoor, it's not really an amphitheater, the Gorge. I'd
Where's
love to
that?
play that. So it's about an hour and a half, I would say 2 hours from Seattle. There's a great documentary on Amazon.
Oh,
So it started as like a mom and pop winery. And the first big act they had, it might have been the 70s or the 80s, was like Bob Dylan. Then the next big act, which really made it blow up, was Pearl Jam. Because obviously
wow.
they're from Seattle. And after that, like, this kept, you know, growing and growing. And now they have a country festival there called Watershed. They have like an EDM festival, and they have another one. And it's, you know, just it's really the thing, like the backdrop of like, you look and you're like, wow, like this is like mind-blowingly beautiful.
Yeah.
That's one place. And man, off the top of my head, I can't really think of any others as of now. But if I do think of some later on, I'll let you know.
All right.
I mean,
That's cool.
We just got to do, like, we had to go overseas in March to finish off 3 shows from 2020.
Oh, wow.
In this C2C festival, where we had done Berlin and Amsterdam, and then we could fly back again this March to do Glasgow, Dublin, and London, and we got to headline the O2 Arena.
Oh, wow.
Which, you know, that's like their Madison Square Garden. Oh,
right.
Okay. Venue I love to play that's not in the States, Wembley Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's that great footage of the Foo Fighters playing Wembley.
Yes, I have watched that countless times.
I knew you did, because I know you're a Taylor fan.
Oh, very much so. I remember exactly where I was and all that stuff when I found out the news of his passing. And then in Nashville, they set up someone put together a Taylor Hawkins tribute night, and they reached out to me pretty quickly and was like, hey, like, I want you to do this, you know, choose the songs you want to play. And it was a lot of fun. Like, I got Rich on board, I got Jim on board.
Oh, man.
And it was just a really fun night, and I hope they do more of those. But yeah, what just a tragic loss to the drumming world and just the music community in itself. It's like, you know, my parents know that the Foo Fighters are one of my, if not one of my favorite rock bands. And my dad was joking around me, and he was like, oh, I know, like, you know, that would be, you know, if it wasn't like the Luke gig, like that would be your dream gig. He goes, and he was joking around. He was like, looks like your dream gig opened up. I'm like, yeah, I don't think they'll be touring for like a while. And,
yeah,
you know, I've had conversations with some buddies of like, if they do go back out, I'm thinking like Dave would probably still play the records, and they would have someone tour, and maybe at some point they play on the records. But the few guys that I would assume would fit well within that role is like Josh Freese or like my buddy Robin Diaz, who I think those two guys would be the only, from my just knowledge of seeing them both play either live or on YouTube, would fit that part and hang the best, I think, too.
Right. Yeah. So. And I agree with you. I think it's going to probably be some time. It's really interesting. Like right before he passed, you ever watch the show Hot Ones? It's like a
Oh yeah. I know Dave was on it. I watched his episode.
Yeah,
not too long ago.
I watched it like the week that Taylor passed, and so like I was watching that, and I was like, man, he's so nuts, and he was talking about he got into drums a little bit, and I was like, man, like thinking about those guys, they must be having such a blast. And then I heard about his passing, and I was just like, oh man. So it's really, sad, and rest in peace, obviously, Taylor. And we just lost Alan White, who is the drummer from Yes.
Yeah, I saw that too. That was devastating as well.
That was sad. And it made me think about, the day that Neil Peart passed away, and I was on the road with Roger, and we were driving to Virginia or something. We were in a truck. And I remember hearing about his passing that day. And it's like, where you were when you hear about these guys, because it's so poignant to us as drummers growing up listening to these guys, man. So it's like, yeah, it's really rough. So last week when we did the Memorial Day show with Weckl, Garibaldi, and Stan Moore, we did a little, tribute to those guys. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's some stuff, man. But we have a lot of the same influences, and also Stuart Copeland. I mean, huge influence.
Oh yeah, I got to see the Police. Remember, I did 2 back-to-back summers at Berklee College of Music, and
cool.
I saw they were playing Fenway, and it was my only time going to Fenway. I've never seen a game there, just that one show, because I'm a diehard Yankees fan, and with my best friend, and it was the reunion tour. I think it was like 2008, and it was just so incredible to see him play live. I mean, all 3 of them. And I thought, man, if there is a day I ever meet Stuart Copeland, it'll be one of the coolest moments of my life.
Yeah. He's one of a kind, man. I would love to get him on the show. There's my buddy Joe Bergamini edited. There's a Stuart Copeland book out now.
Yeah, I know Joe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that book is so great. I mean, the great thing with the book is they show the kit from the tour, which tour it was, which record, the kit from that tour, and then the charts, the transcriptions.
I need to get that book.
Yeah.
So
it's killer.
Me for not owning it already.
Yeah. On Hudson Music, must have book, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I would love to meet Stuart also. So I wanna go down. I have these like speed round questions that I go down, which are like, sort of some drummers that we nerd out on, but they're more like reaction to a list of drummers. So I want to get some reactions from you. So I try to customize the list to each guest. But there's always some of the same guys that have to be on there. Where's my glasses? I need my goggles or I can't see what the hell I'm saying. Speaking of gear, by the way, you're playing Yamaha.
Yes, I endorse Yamaha drums, Sabian cymbals, ProMark drumsticks, Evans drum heads, ProLogix pads.
Yeah, ProLogix, baby.
Yep, love their stuff. I've got I keep a pad on the road. They're a Strata pad.
Oh yeah.
And I've got that Red Storm. I've got the green one as well. I've got a mini green one. I got the smaller version of that one. Yeah, if that's not the 10-inch. And then I keep a 6-inch, the reversible blue and green one in my backpack at all times.
Yeah.
And then I also endorse cymbal products. Absolutely love them. If you don't have them, you should totally look into them. They will change the game for especially setting up and breaking down. Drum tacks, Porter and Davies Thrones.
Yeah.
We use Fur Audio for in-ears.
Oh, nice.
They're incredible. They sound best sounding in-ears I've used. Man, I don't know if I'm missing anything. I have at home 2 stone throw seat coverings that I really like.
Oh yeah, I saw that listed on your site.
Snare weight. Big fat snare drum.
Big fat snare drum. Love it.
I think that's it. Toka percussion. Duh, can't forget about them.
Toka. Nice.
I think that's it. That's a lot to rattle off right there. I hope I didn't miss any. If I did, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You doing any cajon gigs lately?
I actually got rid of my cajon. I put a hole in it.
Did
using
you?
a champagne bottle. We were playing a buddy of ours 4th of July, a little shindig, and you're on 4th of July, you're hanging, you're partying a little bit, and I was just like, you know what? I didn't purposely do it, and I got rid of it. I kind of donated it, even though there was a small hole in it. It was still usable, but I was like, you know what? I don't really need this anymore. And Toka, it's behind me. I think you can see it if I stand up. Nope, you can't.
No.
But it's called a snare conga cajon.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Instead of sitting on your just cajon and having to bend over, this you could sit on a drum throne and it's right there and you don't have to hurt your back.
Yeah.
And it is wonderful. Also, they make a wonderful product called a kickbox. It's like a suitcase kick drum, which I don't know if you've seen it. It comes with a snare, a small snare and a small tom, and it is awesome.
Yeah. I've seen that. That's very cool. Yeah. And by the way, back to what you just said, cajons are the most uncomfortable instrument to play, especially ones that are not tilted. So, some companies have sort of a little angle in them. Because I find that, for the back especially, like I would rock the cajon back on the back edge of it to make it easier to reach, leaning in. Because you're always leaning over, to hit that. So.
Man. I can't tell you the times I've played cajon. I remember, just because we're on this topic, I used to play a writers round in like 2015 every Tuesday, and I played for like 12 different people.
I read that, yeah,
all that stuff, and my back just felt destroyed after. And then I'd play like there's a venue called the Listening Room, and I think one CMA Fest, I pretty much lived there. I just played with all the artists there on cajon, and there was another one where I played cajon. It was a 4-hour set, I think, on cajon. I was like, my hands need to go in an ice bucket immediately. My back, I need a massage as soon as possible. But it was brutal. And
it's nuts. It hurts your back. And then meanwhile, we forget, and you're smacking a piece of wood. So yeah.
So this Toka conga cajon definitely is a lifesaver.
Yeah.
And it sounds amazing too.
Right.
So.
So cool. All right. So here we go. I got some, and I have some quick little questions too. So why, this is a Dom question. I stole this from Dom.
Okay.
Why do we choose the path seemingly of most resistance? So like drummers in general, it's not the easiest path to choose. Although when you're prepared and you have opportunity, when that comes together, like the perfect storm of opportunity meets preparedness, obviously it makes things easier, but it's not the easiest path. Why do drummers seemingly choose this path?
I think because first off, they love the art of drumming, and they would hopefully want to make it to the point in their career like their idols. And unfortunately, not everybody gets to, but I think regardless, if you get to that point, you're very fortunate, and you should never take it for granted. Like I definitely, like I said earlier, I still pinch myself. Doesn't matter what we do. I'm like, this is incredible. I get to do this for a living. This is all I've ever wanted to do since I was 15, and I'm doing it. And I've never had a backup plan, but there's other avenues within the music industry with playing drums, like teaching, or, you can work for a company too, and deal with drums, and you could play gigs on the side. Unfortunately, really is timing and luck, or as John Favicki had told me before I even came to Nashville, it's word of mouth.
Yeah,
And it just depends on how you go about it. So,
indeed.
nowadays there aren't really many cattle call type audition gigs. I get texts all the time of, hey, you know, have you heard of anybody looking, for a drummer? And it's like, man, like that spot was, I just found out that spot was filled by somebody else. And like,
Right.
so, and it's all because it's who they know.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. I mean, most gigs are going to be filled because somebody knows somebody that's, you know, or there's a whole bunch of guys that are respected that they're going to call first anyway, so that cattle
100%.
call thing isn't really much of a thing anymore for sure.
No, and
I remember
that's
what
what,
you said earlier about like after college you were looking through Craigslist for like,
yes,
I did the same thing when I was a kid. It was the Village Voice even. We would look
I
for
remember
like,
hearing about the Village Voice.
yeah, band opportunities in the Village Voice, going through it, audition. I remember just going on auditions just to practice auditioning.
I wish I had that. I mean, the Craigslist thing for me being in New York was just like so minimal, which I was
Yeah.
shocked by. Like one gig, and I was like, okay, well, if that's it, I was originally going to move to Nashville in October, and I remember sitting down with my parents and saying, I need to move sooner. Like, there's nothing for me here anymore. I remember my mom. I'm an only child, so my mom was like, she was upset. She's like, oh, like you're leaving again, blah blah. Like, but she knew why and all that stuff. And my dad
Yeah.
was like, listen, this is what you have to do. You're gonna do it. And I love my parents to death. There was never a backup plan, and they knew like you're gonna make it. Like
Yeah.
I remember, this is backtracking, but my senior recital in college, you had to write out all the music for all the instruments, plan all your own rehearsals, and aside from my own, I was in 5 or 6 others playing all types of tunes from rock to Broadway to jazz to Latin to
Right.
anything. And, balancing those rehearsals and learning those songs and material with all my own stuff, that truly prepped me for real life situations. And very thankful for that. And I remember Mark had met my parents the day of my recital, and he said, out of all the kids in this school, your son's gonna be the one to make it. And the cool
Nice.
full circle moment for he and I was, I remember we played, I think it was the BB&T amphitheater in Camden, New Jersey in 2018. We were opening for Aldine. I remember I got him and his daughter and his family tickets, and him and his daughter came out a little earlier, and I got them backstage and we hung out. And that was just a really cool full circle moment for us, because he was my teacher all throughout college essentially.
Wow.
Even though I was only supposed to have him for junior senior year, but since Dom had emailed him saying, hey, he's one of my students, he really wants to learn from you as well, I think this would be a great fit.
Nice.
And yeah, so it was a really cool full circle moment, and he's actually the reason why I'm with Yamaha.
Oh, cool.
Hmm. He put me in touch with my rep, who's been my rep now for, I say, going on 4 years, and it's been great.
Wow. By the way, speaking of teachers, John Favicki is hanging with us. Fav, what's up, man? All right, Fav. Good to see you in here. Fav's gonna be on the show, by the
When?
way, in July. So
All right.
I got date. I'll send you an email about the date. So
Is the show every Monday also?
yeah, it's every Monday.
All right. I'm home pretty much every Monday, so I will definitely be tuning in.
Oh, nice, man. Yeah. That's awesome.
But please also send me an email.
I definitely will. My sister's hanging with us, by the way. So my sister showed up. So
Hi.
it's a family affair. I got my mom and my sis, and we got Favicki hanging with us. All right. So first record you ever bought with your own money, CD, record, whatever it was.
Ooh. Good question. I want to say it was probably Dookie by Green Day.
Okay. Cool.
So,
How old? Like 13, 14?
let's see. American Idiot came out in 2004.
Yeah.
So I think Dookie came out in like, was it like late 90s?
Yeah. That was one of the earliest, right?
Probably like maybe like late 90s, early 2000s. So I was like maybe around 9 or 10.
Wow.
So
You know what's amazing? My daughter Nikki is going to see Green Day soon. Like those guys are
they are
still crushing
incredible.
it. Like what the hell,
Yeah.
man?
I mean, out of that genre, those guys really, and I've talked about this with other people too. I think from when they put the American Idiot record out, that really propelled them to a whole other level of
Totally.
rock star stardom. And I saw them live at MetLife Stadium on that tour, and Jimmy Eat World opened. That was such a great show.
I saw that tour, and I have to say, like, they really had just the show of it so polished from the
Oh,
way
yeah.
things
Oh,
looked
yeah.
to how they played everything. They were just crushing it. And then they would do that fun thing where they're like, hey, man, we need a guitar player to come up. And they would get audience participation from like kids in the audience to come up and play
I think
instruments.
that's so cool that they do that. And I know the Foo Fighters do that too sometimes.
Yeah, they brought that young drummer Nandy, that
Mhm.
girl up on stage, and she played. But yeah, Green Day I think did that. You know, I had never seen anybody do that. And then they played like Shout, right,
Mhm.
or something like, you know, and turn it into like a party. You know, it's like really fun, like a fun experience. They really know how to put on a show and how to entertain. So very, very cool. So first record. So first concert that you attended where, you know, besides, you know, something that maybe was your parents' thing, like the first concert you attended that where it was like something you wanted to see.
Oh man, you're gonna laugh. I'm gonna be super embarrassed. But
Don't be embarrassed.
I was 7 years old.
Air Supply.
I didn't know we were seeing the concert. At the time, best friend, our mom surprised him, his little brother, and myself. And it was at Jones Beach. They took us to see Hanson, and we were seventh row center. And I remember our moms were like, "Yeah, we're going to like a carnival or whatever." I'm like, "Oh." And then as we're getting there, they're like, "Oh, we're going to see Hanson." I remember we all started bawling our eyes out. And I'm so embarrassed to say
Wow.
that. And then at the end of the show, I remember it started to rain. And I got my foot stuck in a chair. So, but
That was at
my
Jones
next
Beach?
yes. And then my next concert, I believe after that was Bruce Springsteen. So
Oh,
it
wow.
went from like my favorite to like one of my dad's favorites. And I've seen Bruce now like 3 times.
Wow.
So,
But thinking back to the Hanson thing, you know, here's this little kid playing drums.
yes. And
In
as
a
a drummer,
major-
you're always looking at a drummer on stage.
Yeah. And then I think they played like Beatles stuff too. So they would play their tunes
That well, but
and a couple Beatles covers. And the only reason I would know that is that my daughter, so it must have been, it's probably around the same time. My daughter was a Hanson fan, and I took her to see Hanson. So, yeah.
they're still popular.
Yeah.
I just watched something about them on YouTube, and they have their own indie label. They brew their own beer, and you know they're really smart about how they went about their whole career.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like I think people would, you know, make fun of like thinking, oh, one hit wonder like that bop song or whatever. But it's like they're sincerely songwriters that are trying to do it and still doing it, and like you said, they're smart about their business skills, so they're still active doing it, man. You can't take that away from them.
That was their like big song, but I remember like they had a few other really good songs too that people,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
maybe like their diehard fans, you know, really know and love. But
Right. All right. That wasn't that embarrassing, right?
I think it was more the crying on the way there part of the joy of it.
yeah, exactly. All right. So here's some drummers that I just want to get some reaction. So let's pick Jeff Picaro.
Ooh. Absolutely love his playing. I, as a kid, unfortunately, though, was not so immersed into that.
Right.
Because my dad listened to and stuff, but I greatly appreciate everything he did for the drumming world and drummers in our community. And, you know, that's also another sad loss to the community at a very early age.
Yep.
Because I think it'd be really just intriguing to see if he were still alive, what recordings he'd be putting out now and throughout that time frame.
Yeah,
Where his drumming could be now.
that's true. I mean, my next guy is Gad, but I would say it would probably be much like that. Like if you look at Gad's discography, of course it's organized by decade, but it's like, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, and still making records, So I think if we hadn't lost Picaro so early, it would be the same, man. He would just be out there doing it, right?
Yeah, and I love Gad. I love his playing. I love how versatile he is.
Oh my God,
And
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure everyone knows, his groove on 50 Ways to Lose Your Lover is just so, iconic. It's like Picaro's Africa, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying not to mess that up. Yeah. The groove on both of those songs are so iconic, and immediately you know who the drummer is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the same thing with Gad. It's like, whatever that ingredient is that makes Gad, you hear it, you feel it. And that's what makes a drummer great. It's like Simon, you know it's Simon. There's no ifs, ands. The sound, the feel, it's right there. Picaro, the same thing. It's really amazing. Another guy for me, by the way, this is just a little off thing, but is Carlos Vega, that we, again, lost way too soon, had an amazing feel, and comes from that school of drummers like Picaro and Gad, So Carlos Vega is another of my favorites.
Yeah, I work too hip to him, and I've heard his name many a time, and I'm like, I need to get on that train.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to see him out on tour with James Taylor, and when Don Grolnick was like playing piano, Jimmy Johnson was on bass, and Carlos Vega was playing drums. He was amazing, so great, man. One of my favorites. I mean, my favorites. It's really funny. Russ Kunkel's another one. Just love what he brings to the table, man. It's crazy.
There's a drum shop. I forgot where in California. It's called Bentley's Drum Shop, and I know like the owner, and I know one of my buddies works there. And I kept on telling him, like, man, like, during COVID, I bought a Yamaha Club Custom kick drum.
Oh, nice.
And before that, when we were in LA in 2019, I went to Pro Drum Hollywood, and before buying this kick drum, found the snare drum and bought that first, then bought the kick. And it's like, hey man, if you come across either of the toms, please let me know. And he goes, we don't have that, but we have a Russ Kunkel kit that he used on tour with James Taylor. What about that? I'm like, that's really cool, but I'm not looking for a full kit right now.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny. What I love from Russ, I don't know if you're hip to this stuff, but his playing on, there's a record called Joshua Judge's Ruth from Lyle Lovett. And so the stuff that Russ did with Lyle Lovett, I mean, all those records, Road to Ensenada, like all these records that Russ played on, is really interesting drumming, really sparse musical drumming, like just unbelievable. And his feel, on the tunes that are more groove type tunes are just ridiculous. There's a tune called Church on Joshua Judge's Ruth. The groove is just so amazing, just dripping with feel.
I'm going to pull my phone out here so I can make a little note right now about
yeah, man. There's
the song is called Church, and the album is called
Joshua Judge's Ruth.
All right.
Yeah. And there's a tune also called North Dakota. If you want to hear like really sparse drumming from Russ, it's a Lyle Lovett tune, North Dakota. The drumming on that is beautiful, really beautiful. It's mostly like ride cymbal, some tom hits. It's just like so nice and so sparse. I've seen that band a whole bunch live. Just killing, really killing.
I will definitely be checking that out.
All right, so Taylor Hawkins, what's your reaction to his drumming?
Oh man, I mean, always loved it. Always loved, just the energy that he puts behind it. I think he was the perfect fit for that band. Obviously, Dave can't clone himself,
right?
And I think he was a huge part of that sound. And the upsetting part is that they just put a record out, and now they obviously can't tour behind it. And obviously, I hope if they have to take this year off, I completely understand that, but I do hope at some point they go back to touring.
Yeah.
I have been fortunate enough to see them twice, and they truly put on one of the best rock shows I've ever seen, and they're also one of the only true rock bands still around making great music.
I would go out as far as to say it's sort of this generation's Led Zeppelin in a way. I know that's like kind of, some people are going to be like, oh, you can't compare them to Led Zeppelin, but I would say as far as like a true rock and roll band that's like goes out and is just crushing on stage, Foo Fighters are definitely up there, man.
Yeah. I mean, it was so cool to see them play live, and in their songs, like they pause, they jam, they do all this stuff, and like they just know where they're all at in every bit of the song. Like,
yeah,
it's just, I saw one of the shows was when Dave broke his leg on the Broken Leg tour, and
you saw that?
yeah, it was in Nashville, and I remember I took a buddy of mine, and we were like top, not like all the way top, but like we were in the top bowl, and it was still just incredible. I remember Gary Clark Jr. opened, and even though Dave was in a chair and was moving back and forth, he by far one of the best frontmen I've ever seen.
Yeah, man.
And you're in a chair with a broken leg, and you're playing guitar, and you're rocking out, like banging your head everywhere, and it's like this guy.
He is the real. Yeah, he is the real deal. I mean, to break your leg and come back and do the show, that's like, that's serious.
So yeah, I mean, I love Taylor Hawkins playing. For my recital, I actually played and sang Everlong.
What? Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And
oh, that's killer.
But the few tunes I chose to do for that tribute in Nashville, I did what did I do? I did I did Rope. I did
nice.
I might have to look it up.
Okay.
I did here, give me like 2 seconds. I can tell you immediately once I see him.
By the way, Familaro's with us. Yeah, man.
Woo,
and he just wrote he's so proud of you.
Tell him, I guess thank you.
Yeah, he can hear you, man, so you could say it right to him.
Thank you to yourself and John for helping mold me into the player I am today.
Wait, Dom has something to say. Hold on.
I don't know. I play the drums. I like Italian food. I like to fish.
That's actually from Dom's audiobook. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
So it was Rope. No Way Back, and My Hero.
Nice. Very good. And by the way, thank you, Dom, for joining us. And we're all thinking about you every moment of every day, if you ask me.
Yes, definitely. True treat to have him here with us.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. And you inspire all of us. You inspire me. If it wasn't for Dom doing those sessions panels, interviews, man, like that totally inspired me to start interviewing people. Dom is like the best interviewer really on the planet. He does those incredible interviews, and just really inspired me to start doing more of these interviews and capturing drummer stories, guys like yourself. I think everybody has such an important role in this business, and can inspire and especially to the young ones that are hanging with us. It gives them really some inspiration and seeing that this goal is obtainable, still.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely is. I mean, I a really, not to get off track, but a full circle moment for me with Dom was, even though it just came about, I believe it was either last year or during COVID, with that Sabian SEN, they do the interviews, him and Joe, and Joe had emailed me and said, hey, Dom wants to do an interview with you for the Sabian thing. I was like, awesome, let's do it. Like, so that to me with that was a full circle moment, because he helped me go with Sabian. And then with John, he came to my first time playing the Garden in 2018.
Nice.
And that was
Oh,
really cool to have him there.
that's
So
killer. You hear that, John? He's still with us. Oh, that's great, man. That's a great moment.
so it's been cool to like have three of my teachers, one interview me, and then with Mark, him see a show, John see a show, and all that stuff.
Wow. Oh my God. All right, I got a couple more of these in the speed round with the drummers. So this is more. Let's see. Ash Sohn.
Oh man, absolutely love his playing. Love seeing what he posts on, social media. Watching him, just his groove is just so like it just pulls you in. And I'm like, man, if I could have 2% of that with what he can do, please give it to me.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, his
like,
playing is
really,
great, man.
his pocket is just like, he plays such just for fun when he's recording. He plays such fun, cool ideas, and I like watching him. Like, I'm gonna take some of this for my own self, but then just watching him groove. Just the pocket is so deep and musical, even if it's not even playing that many notes.
Yeah.
And he reminds me of like in a way, I hope people aren't like, oh, you're wrong or whatever. But I don't know the age range, but he reminds me of kind of like a Steve Jordan-esque.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think so.
And I love Steve's playing, and he's obviously also a huge inspiration too.
Yeah, yeah. Steve Jordan is another.
There's so many guys to name. It's hard. When people are like, who are your top 5 favorite drummers? And I'm like, well, I could try to name 5, but I really have like 10 or maybe even 15.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like then it becomes like, oh, what genre? It's like favorite drummers, favorite jazz drummers, favorite like groove drummers that are playing, like Ash, that tune, Red Zone Killer off of Seal 7. Do you know that?
I don't think I've heard that song.
I'll probably get flagged. I'm going to play like 2 seconds of it because in the beginning, it's just like a little bit of a chord and a groove. Listen to this pocket.
I like shuffling.
And listen to the fill that goes into the verse, and then I'll stop it so I don't get flagged. Oh, come on, man.
That's in a great way disgusting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it. Man, in my book, Filling in the Grooves, it's 700 drum fills. So there's like 500 that I made up, and then obviously I have tons of influences, and then I transcribed a bunch of guys. I got to send you a book. You can check it out.
I will be digging into that just like I'm digging into Gadamans.
Yeah, man, Gadamans is another killer one. But
I keep a backpack and take that out when I have time on the road and just go through that. So I'm taking it slowly, but each day.
I love those moments like that fill right there, where it's like, like I have a page called Less is More. Like there's just little sparse fills. And
so
it's like
true.
Some of those fills are just like, oh man.
Like even just like playing groove, like just a pocket, like smack, smack, and then you go
exactly
like that. It's not a difficult fill, but just feels so good.
Yeah. That's so true. All right, here's one that just you could just give a reaction. It doesn't have to be even words. So
okay,
how about Vinny Caluta?
I mean, just he's obviously up there with Dave Weckl and Steve Gadd, monster player, and I know that I'm never going to attain his drumming capabilities because I'd have to live to like 1,000. But yeah, just an incredible player, someone I would love to see play live. Same with Dave and Steve.
Yeah.
And I just think it'll be really neat to pick his brain or just all three of them. Just pick their brains and be like, hey, can you just give me like a mini lesson of like just something that is your signature thing of how you came about it, and just stuff like that. I think it'd be really cool.
What blows my mind with Vinny, and I've probably said this 100 times on this show. Nate Morton from The Voice, the drummer from The Voice.
I've spoken to him a few times.
Yeah.
Funny enough, in him, he just did a recording of Luke. She got the best of me for a guy on The Voice, and I commented. I was like, that sounds great.
Yeah. That's so cool. He and I went down the Vinny rabbit hole for a while, and I turned him on to a tune, and I realized that no one knows this song, so I keep turning people on to a certain Vinny track. But there's a tune called Cowboys and Indians by Nick Kershaw.
All right, I'm writing it down right now.
Which has really interesting groove in it. It's in 3. And then there's a killer fill, which is basically just like sort of paradiddle diddle thing that he does, which is just so slick and so killer, but so streamlined. But he's a guy that like you hear him play on like a Faith Hill track, and then you hear him play on like an Alan Holdsworth thing, and you're like, oh my God, like Vinny can pretty much play anything, so that's always killer. But that tune is really interesting. Cowboys and Indians, Nick Kershaw. It's hard to find.
Definitely pick that up. Here, I'm gonna write his name down too.
Yeah. Nick Kershaw. It's Nick and then Kersaw. Got it. Yeah. So how about I'll give you a couple more real quick.
I'm really hanging out. So
awesome. How about I said it earlier. So how about John Bonham?
I do love his playing. I think for that time, it was like nothing anyone's ever heard or seen. I think his footwork was out of this world because it was all single pedal. The fact that he got those tones out of his drums that were tuned really high, like jazz drums, and just the way he played was a sound like no other. I feel like he's in everyone's top 5, but I love Zeppelin and I really love the Beatles. And I think Ringo truthfully doesn't get enough credit. And to me, he was just simple, and he just grooved, and his hi-hat work of how he played his hi-hat was so unique. And to me, both of those guys just have their own, they obviously have their own style and they're different, but like they made those bands.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, I love Bonham. I mean, everyone does. That's the thing. It's like you could bring up him or any, I guess, great name. Everyone's gonna love it. No one's gonna put him down. Type of thing. So
I would say, with the Ringo thing, I actually did a page in my book dedicated to Ringo, because there's some moments where you're just like, wow, like really unique moments, And I'm going to forget it right now. I should have my book right next to me. But there's a fill. There's one fill that I wrote out in the book, and I can't remember the tune right now. I'm going to like lose my mind. But it was not typical of him. And so there's those moments, right, where Ringo did stuff like that. But then also, from a groove perspective, some of the things that he brought to the table were so unique. Just case in point, like Ticket to Ride, which there's a tune that I recorded for Roger Street Freeman where I kind of mixed sort of like a train beat thing with Ticket to Ride in the toms. And it's kind of interesting. I totally ripped it off of Ringo. But it's playing like dunk chaka dunk chaka dunk chaka dunk dab dunk chaka dunk chaka chaka dunk da dunk. So I'm doing that quarter note triplet thing, which just fits with the music of the tune, but it totally Ringo, man. And that's a groove that, when people heard that, they were like, wow, what is he doing? Really interesting feel, right?
It was different.
So, I mean, I think that's what makes great drummers is, one, like we said earlier, when you hear them, it's them. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is that they're bringing something creative and unique to the table that you may not have heard before, for sure. Like,
yeah, and
yeah, go.
I even think, like for guys like myself, I wish I got to play on the records, but there's an incredible drummer who does, and I'm very thankful that I get to learn his parts because they're a lot of fun to play. And I hope I do them justice. But even just guys who tour like myself, I hope people can hear, like, if there is ever a live record put out or whatever, they know, like, hey, that's Jake on drums and not
Right.
so and so type of thing. Because everyone has their own sound. You can play the same song like it's recorded, but it's still going to sound slightly different because you're the one playing it.
Yeah. And, think about your playing is unique in that, obviously there's other guys that play open-handed, but you're an open-handed player. So that brings a certain touch to the drums. And the way that you're playing when you go to the big choruses on the ride, you're playing righty. And when you're playing, your verses or your more open hi-hat stuff, you're on the left. So that brings its own thing. So you definitely have your own stamp, your own sound. And
Trying to.
yeah, man. Yeah. And I mean, being the touring guy, you can't take anything away from that. You're bringing what the songs need in the live environment,
Exactly.
and you're serving the song, which is the first and foremost, the song, and of course the songwriter, so that's great. And now you're doing some remote sessions and stuff. And so I think you mentioned that you've kind of partnered up with your rhythm section bros, and
He and I, we're working on that.
yeah.
So working on that, and we're working on, I did my own clinic in Denver, and I'm trying to do more of them. I'm hoping to have one set up for when we go to Ohio in July and Atlanta as well.
Nice.
But he and I are doing one together when we go to Connecticut. I want to say it's October, or no, I think it's October. But we want to try to do more together, because just even more things like sessions and just other things when we're not on the road, because we already play together enough as it is, and plenty as it is. We know we know each other's playing very well, to where why wouldn't people want to have, hey, this is so and so's rhythm section,
Yeah.
or have us do a clinic to where it's like we can talk about the same experiences but still have different takes on things.
Yeah, that's smart, man. Redmond is doing the same thing with his guys. I mean, that's great. That's killer. You should do PASIC. I'm performing at PASIC this year, but I'm doing a technology and drumming clinic, which is cool. So I'm bringing
PASIC. Dave Stark, where you at?
yeah, man. Dave, what do you got? Yeah, so I'll be there in person doing my technology and drumming.
It's November.
So, mid-November. I don't even know the dates offhand. I should know that, right? If I'm going to be mentioning it.
Is it going to be in Indy again?
Yeah, it's in Indy. PASIC 2022. I'll tell you right now. November 9th to the 12th. Oh, it's a little early this year.
Let's
9th
see.
to the 12th.
I am.
Registration is now open, people.
Say, I have a show. I'm playing this. There's a CMA Awards at the 9th, but I can go the 10th, and if I don't have any shows on the 12th, I think I will be traveling to Quebec the 11th. So unfortunately, I will be missing out on PASIC again this year.
Yeah. Well, hey man, you got to prioritize.
Oh, of course, yeah. I got to go my first time. Speaking of PASIC, my parents took me out of high school for a week when it was in Austin, Texas.
Nice.
And they were like, yeah, he's gonna be sick for the week. I'm like, this is awesome. I wasn't sick.
Nice.
Dom and Don were the ones, hey, you got to go to PASIC.
That's right.
They were there. It was wonderful. And then I got to go again in 2019. We were playing Bankers Life Arena. And the Jason and Andrew at ProLogic thankfully got me a pass, and I got to go after sound check, and I went after the show and hung out for a while, and it was a lot of fun to see everybody, but I also felt like I was being pulled in every which direction. But it was still a great time, and I'm thankful I got to go even just for the day, for the couple hours I got to be there and meet people I wanted to meet and see people I wanted to see and all that stuff. So
yeah, it's such a great hang. I've made so many friendships at PASIC, And of course, I mean, you're always going to learn stuff. You see great clinics. I mean, this past November, David Garibaldi played. He closed it out, on Saturday, which was awesome. So yeah, really killer. Tommy Igoe played this year, which was fun.
That's neat.
Yeah, he did a great clinic, man. I have to say, Tommy really, really did a great clinic where it wasn't so much about the playing. He was talking a lot about things that are important in the music business. He really was teaching the kids that were there. It was very, very cool. Yeah. So.
Tell them not to take the things I talk about, okay?
That's right. All right. I'm going to give you a couple other guys. So, and it's funny because, some guys might not be totally in everybody's wheelhouse, but I'm mentioning guys that I really love too. And that I've had on the show. So James Gadson.
Ooh. Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Drummer
dun.
for James Brown.
What's that?
Right, drummer for James Brown.
So Gadson was Bill Withers' guy
Okay.
for a long time. Yeah. So you might be thinking of there's Jabo Starks, John Stubblefield, Melvin Parker. Those are like the James Brown guys. But that's cool because I had a feeling, like I just wanted to throw it out there. But what's cool about Gadson is,
I know his name.
Yeah. And he's so sweet. I had him on the show. He's 82, living in LA, and he came on the show and we were talking about the groove in the song "Use Me," and "Kissin' My Love." Do you know that one?
I don't think I did.
Look up "Kissin' My Love" and check out the groove on that tune. So, like, he's kind of known for.
Is it "Kissin'"? Like, there's no G at the end.
Yeah, I think it's "Kissin' My
Love."
Yeah, I think it's "Kissin'." Well, let me look real quick. I have it in a playlist.
I'll find it.
Yeah. I think it's "Kissin'."
What was the other tune?
"Kissin' My Love," "Use Me." And a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that he played on "Ain't No Sunshine," but that wasn't him on that. But it's a similar kind of groove. But "Use Me" has got that good groove. But also, man, he played on like he worked for Motown for a while, so he played on Jackson 5 record.
So I've definitely heard him before.
Yeah, for sure, man. And then he played on some Donald Fagen Nightfly record.
Okay.
And then he played with Beck, like in the 2000s. Like, so, man, and then he played with Justin Timberlake in like 2019.
Really?
Yeah, like the man's still doing it, man. I love it.
I just got to we just did a festival in Napa last weekend called Bottle Rock, and we were performing 15 minutes before Pink, and I was just walking around. I remember I was walking with my plate of food, leaving dinner, still eating.
Right.
And I was like, I know Brian Fraser Moore just got the Pink gig. I wanted to meet him really badly. And like, as I'm walking to go and watch Pitbull, just for fun, I'm in the midst of walking and I look up and Brian's on the phone, and I like didn't mean to interrupt him, but I'm like really eating a bite of my food, and I'm like, excuse me, you're Brian Fraser Moore, right? Like, I already knew who he was. He goes, yeah. I said, I'm so-and-so, I play for so-and-so. And I was like, we just like, it's like, I'm a huge fan, like really just love your playing and stuff. He was like, really appreciate it. Hit me up, whatever. And I was like,
nice.
I actually did the day before on Instagram. But I said, it's all good. I said, I understand, you're completely busy, but I'm glad I got to meet you in this way. So,
yeah.
He was super nice. And I wish I got to catch the end of their show, but unfortunately they were ending like right as I was trying to like make my way to their stage. Nice. But yeah, super nice guy, and happy he got that gig. So
yeah, 100%.
After, being with JT, and he's feeling like everybody as well. So
yeah. And Mark Schulman was great on that gig for all those years, man.
Yeah. Why did he?
I don't know the story. Yeah, I'm not sure. I would have to ask him that. Yeah, I'm not really sure. But It's funny. I was in this like this round table of drummers, and it was Jason Sutter, Mark Schulman, and there's a couple other guys like old timers, and all of them had played with Cher. It was like the one thing they all had in common was they played with Cher. And I was like, oh, that's so crazy. Like, that they've all had that gig, but Sutter had that Octopus kit.
Yes, that white Ludwig Octopus.
The Hal Blaine, like, total Hal Blaine setup. And they played the Garden in New York, and Chic was the opening band. And Chic opens up, and Ralph Roll is on drums, who I've become friendly with. Ralph Roll has a cookie company, by the way. They make like it's called Soul Snacks, and they're out of the Bronx, and they make baked goods. They're like in Walmart now and all these other places. But he was on drums, man, and so Chic opened, and they were killing, like unbelievable. And I was bringing my wife to see Cher because my wife's a Cher fan. And I was just like, I was excited to see Jason, of course, but I was so excited to hear Chic because Nile Rodgers was like playing all these tunes that he had produced over the years besides the Chic stuff. And Ralph Roll was crushing on drums. He's so great.
That's really cool.
He's another guy. Yeah. Like just great, funky, solid, New York vibe, good, really good drummer. Who's like a drummer that you're really inspired by lately?
Ooh. That's a really good question. Like, does that have to be by genre or?
No, anybody, somebody that you just enjoy and listen to lately, maybe.
I mean, I flying back yesterday, I was listening to a lot of Max Roach. I've always loved his playing.
Cool.
Just to like, diversify from like the country and the jazz stuff, country and the rock stuff. So
yeah, man.
Been digging back into like Max Roach and always loved his stuff. But
what a melodic drummer, right? I mean, really bringing
that's what
melody.
I like about him.
Yeah.
A lot of him, and there's always I love Matt Cameron's playing with Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Always love he's very tasty and always enjoy listening to him. So I've been going back listening to a lot of the Pearl Jam stuff.
Nice.
And obviously him with Soundgarden as well.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm trying to think of like any new guys. I have a lot of buddies who are like incredible drummers that I, love and, love hanging with. And I'm actually doing a round table with two of them this Thursday with Billy Amendola.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah. And love both of their playing, great players. And so probably both of those guys as well. I like listening to them, just like more so watching them, live on YouTube type of thing.
Nice. So. Are you friends with Keo?
Yeah, Keo actually just texted me yesterday. I love that guy to pieces. He just texted me yesterday. He was like, "Hey, what do you think of these in-ears? Or what are you using?" I told him, and I was like, "You need to get these like now." And I told him what I thought about it. I was like, "I'm getting a backup pair, and I'm getting another set from them because I love them so much." So, but yeah, I love Keo. I've known Keo for years.
Keo Stroud is like one of the funniest dudes on the planet. Like he did a clinic at PASIC a few years back. So I was at the Yamaha hang afterwards. He is one funny dude, but in clinic, he was really funny and really humble, like so humble, right?
He truly is. I got to see, we did a festival with Big and Rich last year. And that was actually the first time I got to see Keo like really play. I've gone to like these like local hangs where he's playing. He's like, "Dude, come sit in." I'm like, "Okay." But
nice.
But yeah, I've known him for a long time, and he's always been such a great guy and fun to hang. And we'll go, like go for drinks here and there, and one turns into two, turns into three. And like,
nice.
"Oh, wait, I'm out with Keo. It's going to be a long night."
Yeah.
But he's a great guy, very humble, and a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. And I feel like, and so is Jim. I mean, Jim Riley's just so knowledgeable, such a great guy.
Mhm.
You know,
Rich.
yeah, Rich too, man.
Um, but there's guys here that I would just love to like pick their brains, sit down. Like I love Near Z's playing.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Near is
him,
interesting, man. He's
yeah,
got a great feel, great touch. You listen to those John Mayer records? Oof.
yeah, oh yeah, him or like Shannon Forrest or Chris
Yeah.
McHugh. So
Yeah, all great guys, man. Holy moly. And my buddy Stanton Moore, we talked about him a little earlier. There's another
yeah,
guy on the other side of the spectrum, kind of, who's bringing something really unique, right?
I got to watch him. We played Jazz Fest. We were the only country act there,
Really? Oh, cool.
and I got to watch him with like Chris Stanky and some other people, and I met him once before briefly, but I got to meet him again. And he was like, "Hey man, like take my number down." I'm like, "Okay, like cool." I was like, "Thanks, I really appreciate it." And like such a nice guy, and like just his feel and his touch and groove just are so like for what for what he does, just so spot on.
Yeah, 100%. Very authentic, right?
And it's such a cool kit too. I mean, he wasn't playing with Galactic. He was just because I think he lives in New Orleans, so he
Yeah.
was just like there and like he was just asked to play.
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
that's Stanton. Yeah, he's such a great player and such a good human. And
mhm.
the first time I saw him was a really long time ago, and he was playing with a metal band in New York.
I would have
So
loved to see that.
yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but he played with Corrosion of Conformity, which is like a southern metal band. And so he played with them early on, and he just was sitting in. He had played with them earlier,
Okay.
sort of replacing a guy for a tour, and then I think did a record. So he was there. I think it was only a year, or maybe, I think a year, maybe two. I know somebody's going to correct me in the chat about that. Dave Clive would know. But yeah, so I saw him with that, and then after that, I got his New Orleans drumming like DVD. And I was like, oh man, I saw this guy. I was like, this guy's serious when I heard that. But yeah, he's a great player, such a great feel. And he's so into it, the history,
Yeah.
everything.
And he always just has a huge smile on his face, which is something I need to get better at doing when I'm
Right.
playing.
Well, let me tell you something on your drum cam video. I don't know, you might have been smiling at your tech, but you were turning back with a big smile on your face. And I was like, there you go. Now you're playing to the camera. That was good. Because like as drummers, right? Don't we get like in our heads a little bit and then, we kind of get this like serious grimace on our faces, right? It's like, but yeah, we need to be smiling on stage. Stanton is always smiling, man.
I watched something with Taylor Hawkins, and he's like, "Yeah, like my smile." He was like, "I was smiling, but I was always clenching my teeth when I played. That's why he always had that look."
Yeah.
So
That's true. He always had that like intensity. It looks like it's all teeth, but he's like clenching his mouth. Wow, that's so funny, man. And by the way, I'm just going to mention Adam Deitch was on my show recently. He's another guy that's like, are you familiar with Adam?
I know his name.
Look up the band Lettuce.
Oh yes, wait,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I listen to Lettuce.
Lettuce
Yeah,
is
I
cool,
listen
right?
to them. I have them in my Spotify.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Adam is the drummer and creator of Lettuce.
Okay, I
Along
did
with
not know that,
yeah.
but yeah, his playing is some serious stuff.
Talk about pocket groove, like just really killing. Yeah. He's another great one. Like I still think of him as like a new cat. He was on the show and his mom and dad came in on the show. And
That's awesome.
His mom's a drummer, and his dad's a musician. So it's really cool, like hanging with the whole family was hanging.
That makes sense why he's such a good musician drummer, because
Yeah.
it's in his blood.
Yeah, they were like talking about how they have the rudiments hanging in the kitchen. They're all like walking around playing drums in the kitchen.
That's cool.
Yeah, really killer. So what would be one record you could think of that somebody would be surprised that you listen to besides Hanson,
Ooh, let's see. It's a really good question. Um, hmm. I wish I could name one off the top of my head.
Is there something
Uh,
on your Spotify playlist that's a secret you don't want people to know?
no, it's not a secret. Right now, I mean, I've been um on these stadium tours. There's a Texas artist who's been opening up. His name's Cody Johnson, and I've been really digging into his stuff. And his drummer is a good buddy of mine, so I've been listening to his newest record a lot.
Oh, nice.
Trying to dig back through his older stuff too, and just like super like catchy, very like just great songs. And
Cody Johnson, you said?
yeah, even though it's not anything like so avant-garde jazz wise or anything like that, but yeah, he's got an incredible voice. So his newest song it's called Till You Can't, and man, that guy could sing his butt off.
Nice.
So
by the way, you're not doing any singing in the band, right?
No. I keep that for the shower and home.
So
when I have a guitar in my hands.
Yeah, I got you. But it's cool that you said you started playing guitar at 13, right? And so you still play, which is awesome, because I've never really been I never played guitar. I learned bass a little bit for a short period of time, but I feel like it's a great way to, be able to write and be able to also, if you're going to do any producing, just to know how to play a bunch of stuff is so important, I think.
It totally is. I remember when I was 21 years old, I was writing all my own songs and I was playing everything on it. I played bass, I played guitar, I played obviously drums, and
that's great.
My lead guitar playing is terrible, but I gave it a shot.
Right.
And the bass wasn't anything too crazy, but I did everything on my own.
Nice.
So, and I play a little bit of piano too.
Right.
I have a Yamaha electric piano that I need to tinker with more. So
yeah, I know just enough piano to at least be able to sort of sketch out ideas and write. I've always liked to play around with the piano. Guitars, I just never got it. I also never owned a guitar really, so but I did play around with it a little bit. Yeah, I could start now. I could start playing the trombone now too if I wanted to.
Ooh, yeah. I remember in college I was I thought I wanted to have my minor as music ed.
Oh yeah.
And I took a class with saxophone and I believe it was clarinet. Let's just say that those instruments were not in my bag.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't even imagine.
I took guitar and I aced it, and I took drums and aced that as well.
Wow. I mean,
two easy A's.
I can't imagine being a high school band director and really kind of knowing how to play everything, all the woodwinds, all the brass, knowing just a little bit of percussion to be enough to be dangerous. And it's I can't imagine that whole bag. I got to give it to those guys. I have so much respect for band director people. It's just unbelievable. I had a band director reach out to me today. He's going to be sending me drum students for the for the summer, and it's I offered to do a drum clinic, and it's those guys, man, they work so hard. Oh my God, I just can't imagine.
And even the march, the big school marching band guys, that's a lot there.
Yeah, all that. It's
that coordinating all the moves and everything that goes into that. Just, I think it's really cool to see.
Yeah,
nothing for me though.
Yes, much heavier over on those things over there.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I have to say, man, this was a super fun hang. I love digging into your story, and it's really inspiring for I think for everybody. And you're doing it. You're out there. You're crushing it. And it's I love that you. I mean, most guys, I feel like everybody should feel this way, but I feel like I've met guys that just are jaded. But it's the fact that you really appreciate it every single day, and you feel that, pinch me thankfulness, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man, I think you should never, I don't care how you could be like a name of Steve Gadd or Weckl or Cal Yuta. I think even regardless, those are obviously some of the best, or if not top 5 drummers probably in the world today. And I still hope for those guys, they still have pinch me moments, or like, they still just love doing what they do, and not just like, oh, I'm hired because I'm so-and-so,
Yeah.
I hope they still like have that kid feeling inside of, I still get to play drums for a living after 40, 50 plus years and playing on all these historic records and stuff. Like I'm hoping, when I'm their age, it's like, I think everybody to a bit of their own ego wants to be a household name in some form or another. And it's like, if I'm lucky enough to get to that, I'm always going to be, a humble and, nice guy. And, because there's people who I know, I'm sure now, who look up to myself. And I've only really been in the game, Luke, for, 8 years. And it's only, I hope to continue and grow for the next however many. And, I want to just continue and inspire young drummers or old drummers, and it's a very grateful feeling when you have, you do a clinic and like this little 12-year-old girl, sweet little girl, came up to me and she said, "Hey, I play drums. I'm a girl. Like, what do you think I should keep doing?" I said, "First off, definitely keep playing." I said, "I know very few female drummers, but they're all amazing." And I said, "Keep playing." I said, "Learn as much as you can, soak up as much info. Keep taking lessons if you already do. If you're able to go to college for music, I highly suggest it." And I said, at the next step, if you really want to continue, move to Nashville.
Yeah.
Because truthfully, there aren't a lot of female drummers. And, all the people that came up, there was a guy who came up to me after and said, like, "I just started playing drums like a year ago." And, he knows, I think he realized he's just doing it for fun, but he was like, "Everything you talked about, I really appreciate, from like networking to, even just how to get a gig playing at a bar."
Right.
Stuff like that, and keeping a gig like that, and the importance of playing to a click. And, a thing that I don't think a lot of guys talk about, this is obviously when you get to being on the road, is staying healthy mentally and physically.
Yeah.
Because when you're first starting out, you're not, doing gigs where there's catering. You're going to McDonald's and all these fast food spots. You got to like pick and choose where you want, your battles to be when it comes to, I guess, eating.
I'm 100% with you on that. I mean, definitely, it is sort of an athletic kind of instrument, and you have to take care of yourself, hydrate, eat right, and exercise. I mean, like, it's
I work out every day I'm home, except for Sundays, but I work out on the road too. Like we were just in Seattle, and I worked out Friday and then Saturday, myself and our bass player walked around the city. We went to like Pike Place Market, and then we went to this super cool guitar shop, and, we got our steps in. And then, just got to pick and choose what you want to eat
right
throughout the day, and then hydrate, as you said, and you play the show. For drummers, I can't imagine how many calories we burn. Doesn't matter if you're playing a 30-minute set or a 90 to 2-hour show,
right,
moving the entire time. So
yeah.
One day I'm going to wear an Apple Watch, and I'm going to take all the notifications off and all that stuff. And I'm curious to see how many calories I burn and if it's accurate, because I wear it on my left wrist. So I'm wondering, because I'm moving my left wrist, more so than my right, if it'll be truly accurate.
Yeah, you're definitely going to get a lot of steps in too.
I'm like, is this really, is this accurate? Or
your feet are moving, your hands are moving. You might as well get the steps from that.
Side note, I know we were talking about John Bonham. One of our truck drivers was generous enough. He's like, "Hey, I have a pair of drumsticks for you," and he gave them to me in Seattle. I was like, "Oh, cool!" Like, and he goes, "Yeah, one of my buddies drives Jason Bonham," and he gave him a pair of sticks that he used from that show, which in turn he gave to our driver, who then gave them to me.
Oh,
I didn't know whose sticks they were because they had stick wrap on them, and I saw, like, I guess his sticks are the natural finish lacquer with red, And I said, whose are they? He goes, they're Jason Bonham's. I said, really? And we started peeling the stick wrap off, and they're his. And they're used because it looks like it, very much so. And he was
Wow.
like, I want you to have these. And I was like, you don't want these? He goes, no, man, you play drums. I want you to have them. I'm like, thank you so much. Like, it's super cool to have, a pair of sticks, that are used by him now. If anyone knows Jason Bonham, to get him signed, that'd be even better.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow, that's very cool. I mean, that was very thoughtful of the driver to
Yeah,
do
very
that.
much so.
And it's interesting how it got passed through a couple of hands before it wound up in yours.
Mhm.
It's like it was meant to be or something. It's so funny.
Cool. And, I'm never going to use them. I'm going to keep them just like I'm keeping the MSG sticks I use and SNL sticks. And I love to, put all three of them maybe in the shadow box or something like that together. So.
By the way, just real quick, when you mentioned SNL before, I meant to ask you. So, did you get to meet Sean Pelton and speak with him?
Funny enough, I did not get to meet Sean. So way back earlier on, remember I told you how my dad's friend told me to. Oh, I don't know if I said this. My dad's close friend used to own the label Wind Up Records, which had bands like Creed, Evanescence,
Right.
and stuff like that. So he's the one who really told my dad to tell me, like, Jake should either stay in New York, go to LA, or go to Nashville
Right.
if he wants to continue after college. And throughout, my later years in high school and early years in college, I interned at the label and I got to work in the studio. And Sean came in and he was recutting drums for a band. So I got to meet him then. And I remember we're standing at the elevator and he goes, hey man, like, I have this DW kit that's still sitting in the boxes at the studio if you want it. And I was like, man, I appreciate it, but I can't afford it right now.
Wow.
But I would have loved to like have that full circle moment and see him. But I did not. So I don't know where he was, but instead I got to meet Keenan Thompson. So I guess that's a trade-off.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he was the first person I met. I remember I was just on my way to use the restroom and he just introduced himself. And I was like, this is really cool, man. Like I remember watching you as a kid and, he's like, that's awesome, man. So.
Yeah, Keenan's hilarious anyway.
Mm-hmm. And he's
That's
the longest cast member that's been on the show.
Yeah, well.
Oh, I also got to meet Lauren Michaels at the very end too.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. Sean is definitely one of those guys that has a unique approach, sound, great feel, right?
Monster player.
Monster player. He did a clinic where he was talking about that gig, doing the SNL gig. And it's pretty like technical what he has to do as far as running things. It's like really on the money where he's got to start and everything off of his pad setup and kind of almost, MD it in a way, the way things have to run.
There's so much going on with that gig.
Yeah.
Isn't the sax player the MD? Because he was watching the sound check. He goes, and I think he told some of us after, or he told one of our guys, he's like, this is great. Like, you guys don't use tracks and you actually play.
Yeah,
this is
yeah, exactly.
Nice. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But I mean, as far as, there is the actual MD, but I mean, like what he has to do with starting and stopping things, pieces of tracks, there's little pieces of music that run things in and out of stuff that he has to trigger.
Like the commercial stuff and all that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like tricky kind of stuff.
I would have loved to take a look at his setup, like with him.
Yeah.
I think that'd been really cool to see. But while I was there,
could happen again, right?
Yeah, look, I if they had us on again, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But while I was there, I got to, via Billy Amendola, meet Chris Coleman and got to hang with him for a bit. So I popped around to the late night Seth studio because I believe it's on the same floor. And just only walked right around the corner and hung with Billy and Chris for a little bit. So
nice.
Yeah, it was fun. So.
Oh, that's super fun. Nice, man.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, man, your story is really inspiring.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And hopefully, I mean, maybe we'll meet in person at some point. I don't know if
Hope
I'm
so.
if I'm in
Gotta
town
get-
by you or if you're in town by me. Try to make it happen.
Hey, I'll get you to a show. That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be killer. Yeah. And I'm so
Right.
glad that that I reached out to you. I just reached out to you on my own, but then Fav and I were talking about you, so it's so cool we have that connection with John Favicki and Dom, of course. So that's really, really cool. And hopefully you'll check out some of the other hangs that I have going on. And
Definitely.
I'm planning on at some point. I mean, I love. I always feel like I have 100 more questions, but at some point I want to start bringing people back around and do these again. So hopefully one day we'll do it again. And,
I love that. You can count me in.
And I also thought about what if I did like round table things where maybe we'll bring in a couple of guys, like maybe we'll do me, you, Redmond, and Riley, and we'll just do like a Nashville hang one night, So
That'd be fun. That'd be different.
be
That's
super
what I'm
fun.
kind of like doing with Billy via, it was Dom's idea, because he was talking with Billy, and Billy was originally just going to have me on. And then he was like, hey, I was talking to Dom, and Dom was like, hey, you should have Jake choose two of his buddies
Oh, cool.
to a round table. So I chose my buddy, his name is Josh Sales, who plays for Sam Hunt. And then my
Yeah.
other buddy, Mark Taco Anino, who plays for Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
So, and I've also done shows with both of them. I thought they'd be the perfect fit. So we're doing that for Drum Channel on Thursday.
I was probably going to reach out to Josh because like we're following each other on Instagram, and so I saw Josh like liking a lot of my posts about these live streams, and I was like, oh man, I should reach back to him because I know that
Yeah, you definitely have him on, and same with Mark Anino. And if you haven't had also my buddy Robin Diaz on,
right. No, I haven't.
him too. He's great.
And I'm going to
So,
reach out to
all three
Keo
of those
too.
guys are wonderful.
Yeah. I'll definitely reach out to Keo too. I think
Yes,
that'd be a
Keo
fun
as
hang.
well, because he's just, I know there'll be so many laughs.
Oh yeah, I know. He's so
Sure.
he's so damn funny. All right, man. So fun hanging tonight. I want to thank everybody that came into the chat tonight, including my family members, and of course Fav and Dom and Ray Levere, John Gill,
Mark,
all of our good buddies. My student Lucia, she's probably already gone. But yeah, thanks to everybody that hung with us tonight, and I'll definitely see you guys on the next one, which is Omar Hakim will be on next.
that'll be fun.
Next week. That's going to be a fun hang. And of course, Hand Technique Workshop is a thing that I'm still doing, although we haven't been live streaming it. But if anybody's interested, hit me up on Facebook Messenger or any social platform. Just hit me up if you want to do the hang for the Hand Technique stuff. And my special thanks to Jake Sommers for hanging tonight and being so generous with your time. I know.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Super fun. And thanks to everybody. And we'll see you on the next one. We're going to roll. Talk to you later.
Sweet. See you.
And we are...